With golf season quickly approaching, Chevy wants to help you make the most of every drive. The all-electric Equinox EV has it all. It's got a roomy interior, advanced safety features, and more. Chevy has it all. This show has it all when it comes to the Players' Championship, which we loved. So we get into all of it on this show. It's a long show, a big golf-heavy show, which is great for people right now.
Yeah, an amazing weekend. Just from beginning to end, the Players always delivers. And Chevy always delivers as well. So great to be here on this beautiful Tuesday. And excited to get into all things golf and Chevrolet.
The Equinox EV offers, by the way, a best-in-class 17.7-inch diagonal standard touchscreen display. The 2025 Equinox EV LT. It's got a starting price around $34,995. Your pricing may vary as dealers set the final price. We're talking roomy, no compromises interior with ample cargo room, convenient storage solutions. Check out Chevy.com/Equinox EV for product info, lease offers, and amazing deals. A lot to talk about in this show, so stick around, get hyped. One of our favorite weeks of the entire year, and we go through it all. And you can go through it all when it comes to Chevy at Chevy.com/Equinox EV. Here we go. Chevrolet together. Let's drive.
And I was standing over the shot, and JT got really close to me where only I could hear, and he just said, "Feel it in your hands."
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports. It is, we're recording this on, March 17th, little St. Patrick's Day edition of the recording. I'm giddy for this show. I'm very excited. There's a lot to talk about. The Players' Championship delivers. We just finished up the playoff. That was not much of a playoff. I had a nice ticket thanks to DraftKings Sportsbook. I love the Saturday morning play where you jump on somebody. Rory got it done. Morikawa didn't last week. But, man, we've had just a roller coaster of a week in a lot of different ways. Both Rory and Colin Morikawa kind of in the thick of it when it comes to media, when it comes to takes and opinions. Then Rory gets it done. He's never won twice this early in the year going into the Masters tournament where he's never won before. We have all kinds of cool stories from Akshay, Bhatia, Alejandro Toasty was awesome this week. Minwoo Lee was in the mix for a while. The Bud Cauley, Lurch's best buddy. There's just a lot of great stories. So I'm very jacked up. I'm very jacked up to talk a little golf today, boys.
Frankie, I feel like you've got different shades of green on. Is that a St. Patrick's Day thing?
Yeah, I'm wearing green for St. Patrick's. It's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. It's nice to kind of be, all-encompassing of the holiday. You want to feel like you're celebrating it. It is a Monday. It's been a long weekend, a couple Guinnesses. But yeah, what a finish. A little bit of a wasted time thanks to JJ Spawn. We'll get into that. But Rory McIlroy, always love to see that man on top. JJ just falling just a bit short. Couple putts just falling just a bit short. Maybe too tall of a task for JJ Spawn, but it was always going to be a tall task to beat Rory McIlroy. You have to sleep on it. You got to think about those 3 holes. You're playing against one of the best players of all time, especially of your generation. And yeah, just a little bit of too big of a moment for JJ Spawn, but it is what it is. And it was fun. I did want Rory to beat Buddy Cauley in a playoff because all weekend long, I was singing to myself, ooh, Rory just beat Buddy Cauley. Oh, and tiny JJ Spawn. And then I was trying to think of he took a phone because he doesn't care anyway. And then something about he hates YouTube. He's not gonna watch that. Not gonna watch that.
We need to start. I was thinking about this with Rory because it was great that he won. An incredible performance out of him. Whenever he seems to have something going on outside of golf, he plays really well. You remember at the US Open at Pinehurst number 2, it was the divorce thing that was kind of flying around. And then he obviously didn't win that one, but he came really close. And then this week, and I'm sure we'll get into it, we can get into it right now, where he was asked about a few different things, one of them being YouTube golf, and he gave a bit of a surly answer, is the way that I would put it. And it felt like people were against him to agree. People always are going to love Rory, but there was a certain fan that was like, I don't want Rory to win because he's shitting on these things that I love. And I don't know if he likes it, but he seems to play better when his back is against the wall and people are talking shit about him. So we got to take that into account going forward.
Yeah, I would say Rory had quite the bitchy Tuesday through Wednesday at the Players' Championship. He had the phone incident, which everybody's kind of weighed in on. We will weigh in on. He had the comments about the YouTube golf world, and he also had the comments about the Champions Tour, where they asked him if he ever could see himself playing on the Champions Tour. He said absolutely not. He said something to the effect of, "If I'm still competing at the age of 50 out there, something's gone horribly wrong." That got everybody from Ernie Els and Rocket, all these guys to weigh in. And then he kind of lit almost like that lights a fire under him. I was going to say, like, I've been trying to digest all this. I know Big Cat and a lot of the Pardon My Take crew, they went hard on Rory. A lot of people went hard on Rory from the phone incident. I think Rory being sort of like almost a little bit of a heel turn-ish is a dangerous Rory. I think for years, a lot of the not negative on Rory, a lot of the like hurdle that was kind of in front of Rory in a lot of people's mind was he's such a nice guy. And when you looked at Tiger Woods and how like fierce he was, he was intimidating at the 2019 Masters when he's like standing on the green while other guys are trying to hit their third shots after they hit it in the water, when he's like standing in front of Molinari while he's teeing off, and you could see Tiger in his red mock neck like in front of the tee box right in front of him. He was like this, almost you had to have like a dickhead, ruthless type mantra and personality and approach to the whole thing in order to dominate your peers. And it was almost like Rory is such a nice guy. He's got his great relationship with Jerry, his dad, and the media loves him. He's kind of the prince of the tour he was years ago, and he was kind of carrying the torch in the stuff against Liv. He was just like this super nice, sweet guy. Whenever we did the thing with him, when we filmed our video with him where he did the one club, he was so nice. We walked away from it being like, God, that guy was just the man. That like in order to take that next step to greatness, it's like they talk about Michael Jordan or Kobe or these guys of like, they were kind of viewed by a lot of their teammates and peers like, oh, they were great, but they're like kind of dickheads a little bit in order to like separate themselves, some sort of including that in his whole thing. And this almost felt like when the world's kind of chirping him and against him and he's doing this other stuff and he's taking shots at people, it almost like put him in this world where he was isolated a little bit as sort of the alpha. I'm bopping around, walking, I'm hitting it farther than everybody else. Fuck you kind of mindset. And I feel like Rory kind of needs that a little bit. And when you look in like 2014, when he won a couple of those majors and he won that PGA while they were finishing in the dark, and like Phil and Ricky were sort of like not sure if they should be hitting up because of the darkness, and why is Rory hitting behind him? And it was almost, he had this like fuck you mentality. And that's sort of the vibe that I got this week a little bit from Rory. As much as Rory can give that type of reaction, somebody asked him on Thursday or Friday in his press conference, like, oh, do you want to comment on the phone incident? This guy's a golfer from Texas. He had just won. And Rory's like, no. And they're like, why not? And he's like, because I don't want you to ask me about it. He just sort of had this kind of like fuck you attitude throughout the week. And that's going to turn a lot of people off. Again, a lot of people weighed in on it. But I really do think it almost helps Rory separate himself a little bit and have that kind of dog in him when it comes to the big moments. And I'm with you, Trent. I think it's almost whatever it is, a little controversy in his actual life, whether it's golf related, personal life, whatever it might be, sort of like hyper focuses Rory to be a little bit more selfish and a little bit more blocked off from the world. And I think that sort of sends him into this tunnel vision of like, fuck everyone. This is how I separate myself from other people. I'm going to win. And it makes him play better.
Think about how he played when the Live PGA Tour stuff was at the height, when it was every single quote was a Rory quote of him being like, this thing's dead in the water, this thing's over, we're going to win this thing, blah, blah, blah. He won the Tour Championship and had an incredible year. I really do think there is something to what you're saying, and I'll never quit Rory. I love it. If this is what it takes for him to have an incredible 20, I mean, he essentially shit on part of our business where he was like, YouTube is like, whatever, I'm not a part of that generation, whatever. That isn't direct, like, that goes against who we are and what we do. And I'm still like, I love it because I think there's real credence to what you're saying where he gets sort of isolated. People are sort of like, I don't know about Rory. He's kind of a bitch and he's kind of this and he's that. I really think that gets him going. And he won the Players and it's the second time winning it. And I'm very curious to what kind of year Rory McIlroy has in 2025 because he might just light the world on fire. And that would be pretty incredible.
I'm trying to find the tweet, but someone had a stat. Oh, here it is. Rory's last 25 worldwide starts from Kyle Porter. 5 wins, 3 runners-up, 14 top 5s, 22 top 25s, and only 1 missed cut. So it seems as though
Damn.
his run is getting drowned out a little bit by what Scotty did. But that's, you talk about 25 starts, 5 wins, 3 second places, 14 top 5s out of the 25 starts.
Jesus.
Is just,
Yeah.
he already is he's already burning, the world
True.
with Rory type play. So, I think he's going to start stacking W's here. I mean, it's just, the more he plays, the more chances he'll have to win. He's obviously on top of his game. And when he's like this, it's back against the wall. If you watch his Netflix episode from this year too, you really get to see, he talks a little bit about, the struggles that he has. It was the him and Shane Lowry episode, and how he struggles a little bit to be like Shane, where Shane's able to like be a father and a good husband, and not try and be the best golfer in the world all the time and still be able to manage it all. And he's like, for better or worse, I am wired to try and be the best golfer in the world. I know that probably has brought on a lot of issues in my life. And that's just like, there's a lot of things going on with that statement, but I think it does reign true. Like, when this guy has nothing else but the game of golf, that's because that's all he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if at the end of the day, if he has an empty house with no family and no nothing, and he obviously loves his kid and the whole deal, but like, I think he's wired where it's like, if I have to give everything up for this game, I will, because I want to be the best golfer of all time. That's just how he's wired, man. There's something about him. He just wants to go out there and win.
Yeah, and I know that he's told that story. It's been told by reporters of throughout the winter time for December, a couple months. He was hitting balls purposely into a simulator with no results. It was just a screen and a wall, because he was so hyper focused on changing the technique of his backswing and his golf swing that he didn't want the results of the golf ball to affect what he knew he needed to be working on. So, like, for you to be 35 years old, basically a several hundred millionaire, you've got your wife, kid Poppy, you've got the life that everybody would kill for, and you're a pretty grounded, normal person. I know he does, there's great stories of him taking his buddies on trips or somebody's bachelor party, puts everybody on the jet, and they fly to a really cool place. He lived in Monaco for a little bit. Like, he's a pretty, like, guy that likes to do real life stuff with how successful he is. To be like locking himself in a simulator in like New York City was the story while they were filming Happy Gilmore 2. He clearly does enjoy the grind and the striving to try to be the best, and to see him get the results, to see him having won at Pebble Beach, which is as iconic of a golf course as it gets, to see him having won at TPC Sawgrass, which is as iconic of a course as it gets, and in the wind. A lot of the knock on Rory early on was that he was like, he either needed to win on really soft golf courses where he hits the ball to the moon in terms of height, has it land, teardrop, he carries the ball farther than everybody else, and he needs to run away with it. He won the U.S. Open in 2011 by 8 shots. He won in 2012 the PGA at Kiowa by, I believe, 8 shots. For him to get it done in the wind, with water everywhere, with not really his best game tee to green, like he usually dominates people with the driver. He was still better than a lot of the field with his driver, but not as good as he usually is. And for him to make that putt on the 72nd hole, I kind of wrote that down in my notes as we could look back on that as like a history and legacy changing moment, where if he misses that putt on the 72nd hole, 3 putts the 72nd hole, misses a 5-footer yet again, all we would be seeing, JJ Spaun would have won. And, I looked at like, Rory had a 2-shot lead on the back 9 of the U.S. Open. He played the last 4 holes at 3 over par with no birdies to lose by 1. At the Players' Championship, he had a 3-shot lead through, I believe, the 12th or 13th hole. He birdied the 12th hole, and then he bogeyed 14. He missed he 2-putted 13. He made a pretty good bogey, but still a bogey on 14, missed 2 short putts coming in, didn't birdie 16, and played 1 over golf on the last 4 or 5 holes, and would have lost to JJ Spaun with a 3-putt and another clip that would have been compared to all his short putt misses at the U.S. Open. And we're in a totally different spot because that man is very aware of that type of shit when it happens. He says it in the Netflix show. Like, he's aware that that's the MO on him. He can't get it done. That putt lips in instead of lips out, and then he comes out and absolutely dominates JJ Spaun. Now going into the Masters tournament, he's got a lot of confidence, whatever. So that you cannot like overstate how big those little moments seem in the world of golf. Like, when you really look at the scope of it, that putt going in, man, changes the narrative so dramatically. And yeah, it's great for golf right now. Like, I know we all good for golf. Dave makes fun of us. Like, the fact that Rory's charging it all he's rolling through. He's got 2 huge wins. It's fantastic, man. It's just like very exciting right now.
That lip in too. You don't typically see that. Balls were lipping in at TPC Sawgrass.
Riggs, you tweeted it, but I was so nervous because Rory was the last guy to putt in that group because he was so close. But you felt like that was a 20-footer. Like I was like, can we just get to this Rory putt because I can't take a breath until he goes. And it lipped in. He gave that little head thing. Like there was a lot on the line there. He knew it. That there was like a legacy play on the line. As crazy as that sounds, but you're right. If he misses that, he loses. Like, and to your point, like JJ Spawn winning the Players, that's great for JJ Spawn. But outside of that, it's kind of, I mean, they were pumping up his story all weekend and all week where it's like, this guy's 34 years old. He's the same age as Rory. He's got 1 win, the Valero Texas Open. Like this would mean a lot. He's had a lot of struggles. He doesn't know if he can like perform at the top level. I even heard one quote, I think it was today during the playoff, when it was like a lot of people around JJ Spawn don't think he can do it, but JJ Spawn thinks he can do it. It's like, man, you got to get new people around you if everybody's like, JJ, I don't think you can do this. And the moment just the moment just seemed like it was too big for JJ Spawn, especially on 17. Like some of those conversations that he was having with his caddy made me want to sprint out of the room and like jump into traffic. Like they were disagreeing, and then when it goes in the water, they go to the drop zone and they're talking about the shot, and they're like, he's like, why would it do that? I don't think it would do that. And I was like, we got to get out of here and just like have Rory win this golf tournament. So, but to the larger point, it was like Rory winning this as opposed to JJ Spawn is, as stupid as it sounds, #good for golf, because Rory's the Lakers, he's the Cowboys, he's all the big teams in the big sports. When they're good and they're relevant, the game is way, way, way more interesting. No disrespect to JJ Spawn, but he went into a buzzsaw in that playoff. He was never winning that thing.
Dude, I agree. It was almost weird last night afterwards of everyone being like, oh, I mean, I know we got to do 3 more holes, but Rory wins. What a week from JJ Spawn. Like they were doing that last night to the point where Rory's comments, Rory said like, yeah, I feel like I should have the trophy tonight, but I'll have it tomorrow. Like he was saying that in the press conference. And it was like, what? And then he comes out and he's got a 4-shot lead through 2 holes or whatever. And you're like, oh yeah, that was correct. So that part of it was weird. And credit to JJ Spawn. Like we have a little bit of a rivalry, the Frankie Borelli and this podcast a little bit with JJ Spawn in a very unintentional and funny kind of way. He called Frankie
I forgot
Pizza
about that.
Boy.
He called you Pizza Boy?
And tweeted at me that he hates Dan Rappaport more than Pizza Boy. I mean, this has been a long, a long documented feud. We were at the PGA Championship in Louisville, and he walked right by us and just goes, "Pizza Boy," and I was like, "What the fuck?" It's like, sorry, I didn't hear you behind that freaking blade of grass. Like, of course I'm going to go after him.
It was after the comments of when you said he couldn't hold the door for Tiger Woods when he got into the Masters by winning the Houston Shell Open.
I think I used his name when I was like, oh, yeah, that's what it was, because we were making a big story about it. And I forget the context, but I used JJ Spawn's name to talk about Tiger Woods going into that tournament, right?
That's right.
I think we were highlighting that the story is that Tiger Woods is playing in the 2022 Masters or whatever it was. And I think you just pulled a name out of a hat because the story was that JJ Spawn had just won the week before in Houston to get into the Masters.
Right. So it was almost It was almost like I was saying nice things about JJ, being like, this guy just had exactly the type of storyline that we always talk about, where it's like, can you imagine just getting into the Masters? You got it on the number, and now you got to play with Tiger Woods. No one gives a fuck now about that guy. And then he took that as like, I'm going to call this guy Pizza Boy and like look down on me, even though he had to step on a ladder.
Good for him. Good for him, by the way. I'm in a weird spot because I see JJ Spawn out at Whisper Rock. He's a super nice guy.
I'm sure he's funny about it. I hope he's funny about it.
Social setting, and I always go chat. How you doing? He's like, oh, I'm heading out here this week. So he's always super nice. So I hope he doesn't, but it's also, I get from their vantage point, like they don't listen to the whole show, and they just see a clip and they're like, fuck those guys, which everybody kind of does. But it is very funny that we have like the Foreplay podcast has this sort of like kind of funny, but also taking a little serious like rivalry with JJ Spawn, and there he was out there. I'm gonna give him a bunch of credit real quick. Obviously, he had a great week. He was hitting the ball really fantastic, and coming back Sunday afternoon kind of blew me away because they came back from the 4-hour delay. He's in a pretty good spot right before he had hit his second shot on 11. Rory makes that birdie. He makes an absolute mess out of like a 60-yard bunker shot. Him and like Cauley. Bud, I think like he like played out a turn. So then the two of them were kind of like discombobulated on 11. He ends up making a bogey on 11, which is a very easy par 5. And now he's like 3 shots back. And you're thinking he's not going to chase down Rory McIlroy of all people. And he doesn't. He got that ball really close on 16 when nobody else was chipping it close. He got through 17 and 18. Gutsy almost won the damn tournament with that putt on 18. So I was pretty surprised that like he kind of held it together and challenged him. So I thought that was incredibly impressive. And then yeah, it was almost like the storyline was so like they were doing all of the segments on Live From and on Golf Channel exactly like they would have if Rory had won Sunday, except they were just adding this little caveat that like they also had to play a little bit in the morning. But it was like it was already over. It was a very funny way that they did it. But yeah, the JJ story, I just want to highlight a little bit of Sawgrass. I was going through like the biggest events don't typically have such a mix in terms of like star power and storylines, don't have that much of a diverse mix like the Players' Championship tends to have. And if you look at the names that were up there, from J.J. Spawn to Bud Cauley to Akshay Bhatia, who was it Danny Walker, which was an awesome story of like the local guy. Dude, if you really go look at like the Masters tournament last year, it was like Scotty Scheffler, it was Ludwig, and it was like Max Homa, and Colin Morikawa. Those were like the names, which Max is struggling now, but like absolute star power. If you look at the PGA Championship, it was Xander Schauffele, it was Bryson DeChambeau, and it was Victor Hovland. Like big names, big hitters that have a chance. If you look at the U.S. Open, it was Bryson DeChambeau and Rory McIlroy. Like big names that have a chance to win. That's pretty much it. The players we've seen throughout the years, the different type of player that can win. Like the year that Tiger won in 2013, it was like David Lingmerth almost won the damn event. This year, it's like J.J. Spawn almost won the damn event, and those other names that I mentioned were right there. Tim Clark has won here. Fred Funk has won here. When Rory won the last time in 2019, like Jim Furyk hit that shot on the 72nd hole where he hit his draw up there, and it was like he was like almost standing in the water. Like Jim Furyk lost by one shot when he was almost 50 years old. So the Players just delivers such a different type of leaderboard. It's almost always jumbled up down the stretch with all those holes. And it's really a testament. I guess it's the golf course, must be what it is. It clearly is what it is, that it just allows such a great mix in a leaderboard. It made me think of like, we really do have a lot of awesome events. Like this is not even the top 4 biggest thing that somebody can win. And the Players' Championship is just fucking awesome, man. We were so pumped going in, and it really just delivered the whole week. I thought it was fantastic.
Really, really good. I mean, Akshay should have won this golf tournament, right? Like I watched him all weekend. He kept dropping back a few times early on like Saturday and Sunday, but he just had all these putts that he did. If he makes 50% of the birdie putts, I feel like he wins this thing by like 3 or 4 shots. That's what I was most interested in. And that group with him and Minwoo Lee, I think it was Saturday, they were all over the map. But then you would look and they would be like 1 or 2 shots off the lead. So yeah, it was a very interesting leaderboard. I think that Alex Smalley was up there too. Like there's names that you know and names that you don't know. And I really thought it was going to come out of that Minwoo Lee, Akshay Bhatia group. And if I'm Bhatia, I'm just like, I can't believe I didn't win that golf tournament. I know everybody thought Rory was going to win, and even Rory was like, I should have the trophy tonight. But I really thought Bhatia had such a good week. If that putter gets even a little bit hot, he wins that thing running away, I think.
I mean, his approach shots are insane. I don't have the stats to back it up, but just
so
like
good.
The eye test, this guy is flagging so many approach shots, like hitting them right around the stick. I actually
on
tweeted
18.
that.
18's a great call, Frankie. Like nobody else was getting it close on 18 yesterday, and he flew it behind the stick and almost spun it into the hole.
He was doing that. Even on 17, he was hitting aggressive shots. On 1, like he was dropping them. He would start his rounds like hitting one to like an inch and almost holing out. So he really has that ability to go right at the stick, which I think will help him going forward for the rest of the year. He has that confidence. He's the kind of guy that he probably can't wait to get back out there right now.
Yep.
I don't think he's really taking it as a negative. He's probably like, we're trending in the right direction. Let's just keep going. Like let's tee it up right now. I just want to go. I'm sure he'll be playing in all the events leading up to the Masters. He'll probably be in Houston, and like he could get a win right before the Masters and get even more confidence. So I mean, Akshay, that like lanky lefty frame, like that's something that like it looks like Like I'm like,
So
oh
good.
my God, that's kind of like my frame out there. He's obviously more fit than me. He doesn't have a gut or a belly, and like he doesn't have like no chin, but the way that his arms kind of like flailed through the ball, you're like, how is he getting that much speed? It's unbelievable. You can't. It looks like he's gonna break out there. It's nuts, and he hits the ball a mile. Not as long as Rory though, hitting a fucking driver wedge into 16 during a playoff. Like, what does that guy think he's doing? He hit a driver wedge. He hit a driver 345 yards, and then he hit a pitching wedge 180 yards because it was downwind, and then goes and has the balls to hit a 9-iron on 17 and flight it. His 9-iron goes 180 yards. He hit it 140. How? That's fucking ridiculous. And got in JJ Spawn's head by doing that. JJ Spawn's like, what'd he say? 9? Did you hear him in the background? What'd he say? Yeah. He was like, what is it, a 9? His voice is hilarious. What'd he say?
They showed the clip of when after Rory teed off on 17, they showed the clip of JJ going like this and looking at Rory's bag as he put the club back in because fucked with JJ big time, and then JJ put it over the green into the water. Like that worked.
The thing, and I'm giving JJ a lot of shit, and like it's a funny little riff that we've had. He did have an amazing week. There was a part of me that wanted him to make that putt to win that thing because that would have been an outrageous moment, right? Like to just have this guy basically be the part of another Rory collapse was a good storyline. That was something that I was willing to be like, all right, JJ Spawn just got our ass and he just won the Players. That's awesome. Like if he would have made that putt on 18, but yeah, it's a classic case of not taking adrenaline into account and the moment. And they talked about that a little bit during the broadcast afterwards with Kiz and all those guys, where it's like, dude, you have all this time, you get to sleep on this this 3-hole stretch, you get to really think about every single shot you're about to hit. You come out and get freaking dick punched on 16, but now you got 17. So many things can happen. And Rory hits one to the middle of the green, hits a great shot, and you have to go take this moment by the balls and do it. And you're not realizing that like all that's taking in, you have to take all that into account, and you're gonna end up juicing that club, maybe a half a club longer. And that sucks because these guys were preparing for that shot on the driving range. He probably hit 20 balls, 145 yards, right? Thinking like that's going to be my number.
Talked about it with the TrackMan. He was like, dude, I had the TrackMan all morning on the range. I knew exactly how far I was hitting that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how hard golf is. Like you really can't account for when you step up to that tee and like you don't know how to simulate that feeling. You'll never be able to. And that's what separates the greats from the not greats. That's just what it is. Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, all these guys are able to step up there and they're able to hone that in. At that level of golf, it's got to be to the millimeter. You know what I'm saying? Especially on 17, those mounds and the way that those swales of the green go, you could rip that thing all the way back off onto the front of the green. You got to be perfect. You got to be precise. And that's, you know how hard that is with all that on the line to be precise like that with the wind and all that. It's fucking nuts.
It's
what
also
a shot by Rory.
What you're saying, like how he has been one of the best players on planet Earth and will go down as one of the greatest for 15 years now. He's been that good. Is that difference? Like on 16, like you said, he hit wedge from, I think he had 181 in, and he hit a towering to the moon wedge into the middle of the green, perfectly pin high downwind. And then the next hole turns around from 131 or whatever it was into the wind and hits this like no spin, flighted 9-iron. That's just like, dude, I'm sorry. That's just going to get it done. Like that is such a difference of him being able to take that spin off, flight one in there, safe. He hit it right where he wanted. He did the same thing on 17 yesterday where he hit it exactly where he wanted to. I think Brandel said in the live from, he's like, I bet that ball landed within a yard of where Rory was trying to hit it in the final round, and it just spun back a little bit, caught the collar. But it's like being able to hit those shots, hit different types of shots. It's such a separator, and to do it under pressure, right? Like, we all kind of revert. It was a lot of kids talking about this. Like you sort of revert back to your mean under pressure, and whatever's the weakest part of your game is going to come out under those moments. It's really hard to like not just rely on whatever's comfortable. And so whatever that ball flight might be, whatever that spin might be under the most pressure, you kind of just go to that and hope that it works. And then there's this another level, which Rory has of like, he's not going to one comfortable thing. He's hitting all kinds of different shots under the most intensive pressure. And it's like, if his least comfortable shot he has is this little like knockdown 9-iron cut thing, he's just hitting whatever the shot calls for under the most intense pressure. It was fucking awesome to watch. So yeah, I'm bullish, I'm very bullish on Mr. McIlroy.
The mental side of it with Rory where, you know, Rory's obviously had an illustrious career. He's got a bunch of majors. He won a Players before. Even if he's not actively thinking like, this doesn't matter all that much to my legacy. It does. It's, if you're going to win the Players, you win it for the second time, whatever. If you're inside JJ Spawn's head, this is the biggest thing. If he wins it, it's the biggest tournament he'll probably ever win. And I don't know if you're actively thinking about that when you're on the 17th tee, but there has to be some sort of subconscious where JJ is thinking like, this is the biggest moment of my career. And then you got a guy on the other side who's like, this is not the biggest moment of my career. Like, really not even close. So everything was working against JJ Spawn, and sure enough, he put it in the water. And it wasn't the most shocking result we've ever seen.
No.
Isn't it amazing what water does, though, especially on 18? You got one of the best players in the world, another guy about to try and win the Players, and just having that over there, knowing that you can't put it in, those drives on 18 in the playoff are just, that's literally looked like a foreplay video. 2 wipey fades into the trees,
Big time.
Like never had a chance. It just shows how hard this game is. Like, when you have even the slightest amount of doubt in your head, what the result will end up being. I mean, those were legitimately horrific drives. JJ Spawn hit a 4-play drive on 18 in a playoff, right? Because he could not pull it into the water, and it just seeped into his brain. He's like, we have to play this out right, and it did go right. It's such a hard game, and it really just, I hope this whole week, TPC is always a win. The Players is always a win, but when you had the Creator Classic and what Trent did out there and what Grant Horvat was able to accomplish out there, playing from the back tees, what did he shoot? Like one? Did he shoot one over? Something
Yeah,
like back
I
nine,
think
like just incredible golf. Like, you just watch JJ Spawn go 3 or 4 over in a playoff. Like, I mean, I know it's different meanings, but to Grant, like, that's everything. That felt like the Players to him. In his mind, his brain doesn't understand what's going on. He thinks that it's the biggest thing that he's ever played for. So it's just, yeah, I hope that this week really just showed like how hard this game is, and also just like, yeah, what that moment can do to people. It really, there's 2 different players. There's Grant Horvats and Trent's, and there's Rory McIlroy's and JJ Spawn's.
Totally.
It's just the fact of the matter. That's just what it is.
The best part of college basketball is here. That's true. It's that time of year. We know you're as excited as we are to watch some big upsets throughout the tournament. While we're streaming in the cave, you can get out to see the action in person with Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. And Game Time makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to showtime. Plus, the Game Time Picks feature makes it even easier to find the great deals on the seats that you want. I believe you got some games there, Frankie, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I pull up Game Time, and for the tournament here in Newark, New Jersey, you can go there. It's on March 27th. You can actually get 2 sessions. You can get the 27th and the 29th here on Game Time. You click it, you go to GT Picks, and that basically is eliminating all the seats that you're not going to even want to pay attention to. It's going to give you the best valued seats right there on the GT Picks portion of the app. So you click on that right there. It's got a star next to it, and bang, you are in to watch the tournament for 2 days. There's nothing better than that. You got that East Regional version of the tournament. It's right here. It's right in our backyard. Nothing better than checking out that Game Time app and seeing what's in town. Because you could be at a Sebastian Maniscalco comedy show at UBS, and then the next day you can be at the tournament game watching, the best basketball in the world. So yeah, very, very exciting times right now. March, April, all this. We're gearing up back towards full-blown sports season, full-blown concert seasons right around the corner. Game Time, no better time to download this app than now.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code FORE, that's F-O-R-E, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code FORE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? Game Time. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen, but the unexpected every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm excited about the DraftKings Sportsbook right now. I mentioned it earlier, but I love in the golf tournaments. I know we're going to talk about basketball, but in the golf tournaments on Saturday morning, yeah, you make your pre-tournament picks. You pick a winner. I like to pick a winner. If you're going to get somebody that's got some fun odds, it's most likely that they're not going to really be in contention going into the weekend, but you can look at that leaderboard on Saturday morning. You can pick somebody who's kind of in the mix, but you're getting decent odds on. I picked Rory And it just made this entire last 2 days, watching the entire final 9 on Sunday. I was fist pumping when he came out birdie eagle. And then that putt, I was sweating on that putt that he had on the 72nd hole. Having some skin in the game just changes everything. And DraftKings Sportsbook helps with that. It is that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely getting in the mix. Like for me, I got in on the mix on Rory. I think I got him at like plus 195, and then you're just kind of riding him. You get late in the game, but still you're getting pretty good value. You're watching the golf. It's meaningful golf, and you're living and dying with every single shot. I had that. I had Rory against Colin Morikawa. I think on what was that, on Friday or Saturday? I guess that was Saturday. They had them as a matchup. They were playing back to back. And it's just like, yeah, let's ride Rory right now. It's just like you have this feeling where it's like you're watching so much golf, you're watching so much basketball, especially now with the tournament. You've got all these games going. You start to get a trend. You're like, let's get hot here. Let's get a couple off in the beginning and let's keep it going. It's always nice to have a little skin in the game. I love it. I absolutely love it. There's nothing better.
If it's your first time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FORE. That is code FORE for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I had Justin Ray help me out, pull some great stats to compare Trent Ryan's scorecard over 8 holes, which is course record, which you just dunked on JT, which was a fantastic move. To compare the worst score shot on 10 through 17 the entire week to Trent's scorecard throughout his performance. We're going to go through that, and there's a lot more player stuff to get to. First, we got to do a couple administrative things. Today, Tuesday, March 18th at 10 a.m., we're releasing Golf Dad merchandise. We've got some Golf Dads that are part of our operation. A big one in Brendan Jones with Rory May, young Rory May, and we've got the Borelli family about to welcome their first child. So Golf Dad merch is very prevalent. And look at this guy, man. Oh yeah.
Look at that hat. It's in a nice blue.
Is nice, dude.
Really nice looking.
Yeah, Golf Dad merchandise has been a long time coming. Probably not a long time coming. Probably about 9 months it's been in the works. We are very, very excited for it. I do think this is like the new chapter. It feels like it's like a new merch line, but this is really us loading a new chapter of our lives. Brendan is very much in it. I'm about to be in it. We are going to be Golf Dads. I know not the whole entire show, but this is going to be a big part of my life. Like being able to navigate playing golf, keeping my game where I wanted to keep it, being able to enjoy the things that we've always enjoyed about golf, which is like go out on Saturday with your buddies and get drunk and come home and not have any worries. Like that's not happening anymore. You can pick and choose from time to time to do that, but it's just, a lot of your freedoms are constrained to this thing, right? Like this whole new life. It's all encompassing. So, Golf Dad is, we have like a little tagline where it's like, we're going to play less, but it means more. And I do think that I'm not a part of that yet. I haven't experienced that yet. In 7 weeks, I am going to, so much so my wife's nesting right now. It's a whole entire thing that's going on. We're getting new countertops. The countertops were in the kitchen. We're just new countertop, new island. Like it wasn't the right level to put the baby up to. Every single, I threw out 200 things of clothes, gave them to Goodwill. I'm not allowed to have clothes anymore. So it's like, there's a lot of things that are going on that these are changes, right? Like too many hoodies, too many hats. You've got too many hats. We need stuff to put, we need diaper space. So it's like, all right, let's throw everything away that I've had, right? Oh, I don't need that Islanders ticket that was only taking up a little part of a drawer. We don't need that anymore. Let's put a binky there. Of course not. So, so this is all stuff that we're gonna have to deal with, and we're very excited, and I think that this is the beginning of a very, very big brand. I think people are gonna rally around this. So yeah, make sure you check it out. It just went live today at 10 a.m. We only released 2 items, 1 shirt and 1 hat. We're going to be releasing a whole line of stuff around Father's Day. So this will be the very first, just like getting the first piece of Barstool Golf merch. It's like, this is going to be the beginning of a long ride, and I think it's going to be fun. The pictures came out great, and yeah, if you guys want to support it, this is kind of how we're going to keep this thing rolling.
Well, dude, a ton of the feedback I got from my TPC Sawgrass performance, where I shot 1,000,000 over 8 holes, was like, oh, it was nice seeing somebody out there. They were like, what I would do out there was nice to follow along with that and be like, wow, that was incredible living that shot by shot with you. It's not that different from what you guys are doing with the golf dad stuff, where it's like, now that I guarantee a ton of our listeners are golf dads. I mean, that's just the demographic. We run into these guys at the Barstool Classics. I see them talking to you. They're like, I got 2 daughters. It's great. You're going to love it. And it's just like being able to watch you go through that as you maybe play a little bit less golf. Certainly you'll talk about it a lot on the podcast. I think people are going to find that it's like, oh, I'm really enjoying watching somebody go through what I've gone through. It's just a relatability. Like having so many people have kids. Most of the world has kids. And it's just like having somebody on the show and behind the scenes with Brendan Jones for people who can relate to that, I think is going to be a really interesting dynamic. And it starts with the Golf Dad merch. Like people are going to see it, they're going to buy it, and then be like, oh my God, I'm one of those too. So I think it brings an element to the show that we just obviously haven't had up until this point.
And when you're showing the video here on YouTube and on the clips, make sure you show the picture of Kyle Timms. The photo that you're seeing right now, him washing his golf club at his sink, is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. He's so into it. The picture with him and his son on the golf course is the cutest thing ever. So yeah, no, it's great. It really is. Yeah. It feels like, like we're having kids and we're going to launch a brand around it or whatever. It's like, yes, but I think that's coming naturally. I really feel like this is going to be something that we're all going to really be deep into, and we'll be doing videos around it, I'm sure. And yeah, this is just our lives now, man. And I've been on this brand since I've been doing Barstool since I was 21, 22 years old, and now 31, about to have a kid. Like, this is kind of how we've always done things. I'm an Islander fan. I'll make out Islander merch. We're golf people. We make golf merchandise. We're about to be golf dads, and this is our new era, man. This is it. This is who we're about to be.
Absolutely. Another thing, we got Jersey Jerry's latest breaking 100 attempt is going to be airing this Wednesday at 11 a.m. So Jersey Jerry's back. Everybody's favorite guy. What a roller coaster it always is with Jerry. He's the best. He was cracking me up in the qualifier the entire time, making 13s and then hitting great shots and then phenomenal commentary, and he's just the best. So Jersey Jerry is back. He's trying to break 100 on Wednesday at 11 a.m., boys.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between the Jersey Jerry that tries to break 100 and then the one that you'll see in a lot of our videos, or if he's trying to qualify for TPC Sawgrass. Like, he's very dialed into his swing and what he wants to try and do. And you got Beef out there and Trent trying to get him to score the best score possible, as opposed to when he's with the crew, he might get lost in all of just the commotion, and he's just kind of hitting balls out of bounds. And it's Jerry's not there yet. The guy started playing golf during COVID. So this is very new to him. So that grind is new. So it's fun to watch him try and grind it out. And he's very focused during the breaking 100. It's a totally different player. So I know people probably well, we just watched him make 11s and 12s and all these 13s on holes during the qualifier. He's not going to break 100. I would say that it's a completely different player when he's out there on his own ball trying to play 18 holes and getting a score. And the other thing I'll say to finish that off is we are actively working on new videos with Jerry. He knows it. We know it. We got to get Jerry back to just being Jerry on the golf course. And we are going to be doing a lot of stuff with him in terms of when Jerry is getting mouse traps, snapped on his fingers. That's the funniest stuff of all time. Jerry After Dark obviously was great. He doesn't want to do that type of content anymore in the office. It's very, documented. Now, how do we bring that to the golf course where it's something that we want to see Jerry do? That's our next challenge. So we're going to be doing a lot more stuff with Jerry with that. So it's going to be a fun summer with Jerry. And this is just the beginning of it, breaking 100.
So yeah, check that out. The latest Jerry episode Wednesday, that'll be out there. And then last thing administratively, then we're going to get to a bunch more Players Championship and compare the field to Trent. Tickets go on sale for our Augusta live show. We've been doing this for several years in a row now. We had Jake Knapp last year, and he was just a massive crowd favorite. Huge pop that man got at Club Magnolia, April 7th, which is Monday evening of Masters Week at Club Magnolia, 6 p.m. We're going to be doing a live show. It's a fantastic time. We talk Augusta. We do a lot of Q&A with the fans. It's a little bit of an intimate setting. It's 100 people in there. It's a really cool room they've got at this Club Magnolia with a bar and a scene. And it's very interactive. Everybody's part of the show. Tickets go on sale this Thursday. They will go on sale for the event. So make sure that you're ready to rock Thursday for the Augusta live show, which will be Monday night, April 7th at 6 p.m. at Club Magnolia for Masters Week. So gear up, get ready for that. That's always a great time.
Sells out every week too, every year.
Yeah.
So make sure you jump on it early. So if you're going down to Augusta, you want to go to this because also Club Magnolia is like worth just getting into, just for, let alone the live show, and like, you know, we'll all have drinks and we'll you know, have a great night. Like aside from that, just being in this place across the street from the entrance to Augusta is an awesome way to spend your Monday night of Masters Week. This place is, we've talked about it at length over the years. It's outrageous how cool this spot is.
I'm sure we'll be giving away merch. We'll be doing everything. We'll be there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we'll be locked into the whole scene. We get kind of enamored by the whole thing and just start giving you free stuff left and right. So it's a good thing to go to. Trent Ryan shot a 61 over 8 holes, famously in the Creator Classic on Wednesday. Absolutely stole the show, in my opinion. It was everything anybody was talking about over the next 2 days. Even after I stuck around, you guys were gone. People were just buzzing about it. So I want to go hole by hole and compare Trent's score on each hole. Again, you guys played the back tees the day before the Players' Championship started. It was as close as you're possibly going to get. There's a crowd out there. I don't know that anybody can be as nervous as you are in that situation, whether you're playing for a Players' Championship, playing for the Masters, or you're probably more nervous because you've never been in that situation before. So it's about as close as it could possibly be. 10th hole, Trent Ryan started off with a 7 on the 10th hole. What do you think the highest score was in the entire field throughout the whole week on the 10th hole?
Is this just for this year, or is this all time?
This year. Just this year.
Wow. I'm going to say 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say 7 as well. Yeah. Well, I saw what Rory was taking like 3 wood off the tee there. Yeah, I'm going to say 7.
Trent is 1 up on the field after Ricky Fowler carded an 8 on the 10th hole to begin one of his rounds.
In your face, Ricky Fowler.
The 11th hole, par 5. Trent couldn't quite cover it, hit it in the right bunker on purpose. Trent made a double bogey 7. The highest score in the field was a 7 throughout the week.
All right.
The 11th hole.
Electric.
This is unbelievable.
12th hole, Trent made a bogey. You had a solid bogey on that hole. You hit a nice little shot from
at
the
that
right
point,
rough.
If you like were talking to me and Frankie at that point, we were like, all right, now we're just going to go and we're going to par out the rest of the way. We were jacked up about that bogey. We felt
like
we're
really 6 over through 3. We only have 8 holes. Like, dude, we're going to end up like 11 over, and it's going to be the best, you know, just most respectable thing ever. You're going to beat a couple people, and you know,
it changed a little bit. But what was the worst score in the field?
2 players in the field made a double bogey 6 on that hole throughout the week.
I'm on
Trent
fire.
Ryan
You're 2 up.
is now 2 strokes ahead of the field. The 13th hole, Trent unfortunately made a 7 on that hole, which was a quadruple bogey, 4 over par. 15 different players in the field made a double bogey 5, but nobody made worse than that. So we're back.
I couldn't get out of that bunker. Frankie and I talked a lot about it, and that shot I don't have. I still don't know how to hit it. It's a weird, Frankie was telling me how to hit it, and he was definitely right, but I just didn't have that in my arsenal, and I got stuck in that bunker.
A 60-yard bunker shot off a flat lie with, you know, you want to hit the front of the green, have it run up because like the whole green was kind of going away from him. How are you supposed to? I felt like I failed as a caddy there because like when someone asks you how do you hit this shot and it's such a touchy shot like that, I don't know how to explain it. I genuinely was like, I don't really know, dude. I'm like, you got to clip the ball. You can't hit all sand because it's like a 65-yard shot. Like if there was a long bunker shot, maybe 30 yards, 25 yards, you can really get behind it and get it up in the air. But this, like, I told him to hit it like he's out of pine straw, and that confused him because he's like, I don't really know how to hit that shot either.
I got showered in so much sand on that first shot. I was eating it the rest of the round.
I believe Kiz was kind of talking about it because JJ Spawn had the same shot on the 11th hole where he ended up making that bogey. He did not hit a great shot, but he was saying you take like a 9-iron or something and hit it like a greenside bunker shot, just open it up and hit like an inch behind it and swing as hard as you possibly can. That's kind of the only way I've known how to do it, and I will say it works when you do it well, but it's very unpredictable and a very weird feeling because you're looking down at like a 9-iron that's opened up like Rory opens up his wedge greenside. And you're swinging really hard. If you hit any ball whatsoever, it goes 130 yards and you're trying to hit it 60 or 50 because it's going to run out. But I'm with you. Hitting a 60 degree from there, it's almost an unhittable shot. Like the chances of you like nipping it is like 0, but you're kind of trying to do that. But then the chances of you, if you open up and hit behind it, it's not going to go anywhere near 60 yards. So it's a very, very hard shot.
We had a 54 degree or 52 degree.
I had a
and
56
I was like,
in my hand, I'm pretty sure.
56. And I was like, just hit ball first and like really just try and clip this thing. And we just kept doing that every 5 yards. And we made a 7.
So it makes a 7 there. He's now back to even with the field. 14th hole, hardest hole in the course the entire week. On Saturday, there was not a single birdie in the field for the first time ever, I think, on that hole. Trent made a triple bogey 7. The highest score in the field, Charlie Hoffman, Will Zalatoris, and Henrik Norlander, all 3 made 8s on that
Come
hole
on.
over the course of the week.
All right. And people got to know, and I'm sure they do because we've talked about it. We're playing this thing from all the way back. Like
same
when
team.
When they said that to us, because we had like a little rules meeting before with all the contestants, and they were just kind of going through it very casually. And then they were like, by the way, we will be playing from the back tees. And Frankie and I looked at each other and we said, that's horrible fucking news because that is going to be such a hard golf course. Even if I were to play from the appropriate tees, it would have been a hard golf course. But knowing that my heels were going to be basically touching the back of every tee box, I was like, we're fucked out there, boys.
It really was the main factor into causing our day to be, kind of downhill. Like you hit the ball well, I thought.
Yeah.
And you got no help from the distance. So it's your fault that you don't hit it further. So I'm not going to say it's the golf course's fault, but like you were hitting good Trent drives that were landing barely over the water or into the water or into like a walking path bunker that now you have like, you think about like a par 5 that we're about to get to, and it's like you have to swing 4 times just to even come close to the green. Now you got to make an up and down for like a bogey.
Right.
And if you don't do that, it's a double bogey. And if you 3-putt, it's a triple bogey where it's like, of course you're going to start making 7, 7, 7, 7s because you can't get there in time. There's not enough, you don't have enough length. So,
right.
The length was a major issue.
It was a problem.
One of the guys that was part of the production crew walked by me on like 13T, and he was like, dude, I feel like he's playing well. It's just too long for him. And I thought that was spot on. I was like, you weren't hitting it bad at all. Like 14, you hit a good drive right down the middle, and it just went in the water. It was like you couldn't hit it.
I've made it very clear in the videos that we've shot recently and just in the past of like, play the appropriate tees because that's how you're going to have the most fun. And it's just, whether that's the whites, whether it's a white-blue combo, whatever's going to make you have a fun day out there, you play from those tees. I just didn't have a choice. They were like, you're playing from the back tees. I'm like, okay.
I think so. You shot 61. I think you would have shot from the regular tees that like you typically play from. I think you would have shot like a 52, and you wouldn't have won the tournament, but I think it would have saved you like 8 or 9 strokes of times where like we had to drop a ball because we couldn't get over the water, and other times we were hitting out of bunkers and just getting onto the middle of the fairway. So like, and that would have still been like, all right, Trent shot 52 from the pro tees. It would have been insane. You'd have been like, all right, this course is hard, but all right, let's keep going.
So I picked up a shot there, right on the field.
Picked up a shot.
Love it.
On the 15th hole. Mr. Fowler saved you again. He made a 7, which tied your 7.
Beautiful.
All right.
So you remain 1 up on the field. This is where things start. This is where things start to get a little. We got away from us a little bit. On the 16th hole, unfortunately, carded a 10.
Swung and missed.
The highest in the field was a friend of the program, Kurt Kitayama, shot or made a triple bogey 8 on that hole. So
we started off that hole correctly. It was the one hole where we finally bit the bullet, and I wasn't teeing off. I wasn't going to use my driver. We're like, let's hit an 8-iron, 141 yards to this little area that juts out on the left, which it was electric on the tee box, and it worked because I hit a good 8-iron. Then I think I hit another good 6-iron after that. What happened after those shots, we can maybe get into, but those first couple of shots, I was like, things are kind of rolling here.
It was funny.
Because you had just taken 2 to get into a position where everybody else was in 1, which is fine. So it's like there, if you hit that good next 6-iron or whatever up there to the left, hit one on the green, you could be putting for par, make a bogey. That's completely fine. Instead, you found yourself in that mound, which I did laugh because on Saturday, I believe Scotty Scheffler was trying to hit this low hook out of the pine straw, and his ball dribbled into that grassy mound area where you were at. And I was like, dude, please don't let Scotty's ball be in that just mess of a divot that you took there,
because that divot's still there. You cannot fix that.
We're calling it a divot. It was a hole. That was
Oh,
a
yeah.
hole. I dug
Someone tweeted out that they should throw sand in it and throw a rake next to it. One of the players. One of the players said that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean
Ben was it like Juan or something like that?
Been on maybe.
Yeah.
My foot slipped and I missed the ball. I created a massive hole in the ground, and yeah, we're gonna get to 17. But of all the clips that kind of went crazy from that weekend or from that round, that might have been number one, because that was.
It makes no sense. I know that your foot slipped, but if you actually watch it in slow motion,
My foot slipped.
like you take a full divot and like the edge of the club face misses the ball by a millimeter, but with how much with how hard you were swinging, I don't know how the ball didn't go right. Like it actually missed just enough for you to take a divot underneath the ball. Brennan, you could walk right across this. We got this guy army crawling across the freaking camera. I don't know how physically you didn't strike that ball forward at any point. Justin Thomas messaged me saying he actually fell on the floor laughing. He fell on the floor when he watched it laughing.
Yeah, it's not my proudest moment. I mean, I actually am proud that I didn't injure myself in some way. I'm surprised I didn't tear my ACL or break my ankles. Like I could have died out there. So I'm happy that I got out of it in one piece.
There was some very concerned, "Are you all right?" before we started laughing at you from your crew. We were very much not laughing,
sure.
laughing with you throughout the whole thing.
All right, so I made it 10 there, not great.
10 there to the field's 8, so you're now one stroke behind. And then on 17, we really lost some ground. You made an iconic and very memorable 11 after rinsing 4 balls in the water, and then the Jesus ball made you get a par on the final ball, which was the 5th ball. You recorded an 11, the highest in the field. The Prince, Sung Jae Im, and Max Grazerman both made quadruple bogey 7s. So you ended up 5 strokes behind the field. I will throw a caveat in there, however, that in 2005 was the highest score ever recorded in the Players' Championship on the 17th hole, which was 1 stroke higher than Trent's score. Bob Tway made a 12 in 2005's
Amazing.
3rd round.
Shout out to my guy Bob Tway with a 12 on that hole.
I think you're seeing, from year to year, the worst play on each hole isn't that far off from what Trent did. These are professional golfers.
It's a hard golf course.
That's exactly
So they
right.
finished with a 57 through 7 holes. And
it would have been a 56. 56. Trent was 61. He was just 5 back from the field.
A couple of those are Ricky Fowler. That's a good golfer right there.
And I'm, you're 1 club away on that first swing. If it's instead of taking you 5, it wasn't like you were shanking balls on the 17th tee. You hit some pretty damn good strikes. They just missed by a little bit here, a little bit there. You're 1 swing away that you make a 3 or a 4 instead of 11, and you dust the field. So you really weren't that far off.
You hit that 1-7 iron like 180 yards. One that flew.
You smoked that one, dude.
Gassed up. I had the adrenaline flying through my veins. But that's very interesting. And as you guys would imagine, my mentions are World War III.
Oh,
dude.
Oh,
dumpster
man.
fire.
Oh my gosh. It's really been something to watch, where 50% is, I thought that was pretty interesting. Seeing what a normal guy would shoot out there. That was a pretty interesting little experiment that they ran. The other 50% are less enthused about the performance that I put on at TPC Sawgrass. That I probably, they're like, never pick up a golf club again. Don't even look at your golf clubs ever again. And it's getting worse than that. But it's, at the end of the day, like, we had fun. We genuinely had fun. Like, me and Frankie had such a good time out there. Riggs walked with us the whole time. We got a couple moments that we're going to remember forever. And it was just like, I genuinely had a good time out there.
Why is there a craving for decent golf?
I don't know.
Well, I that's what I was going to say. I just as a guy that's been around the internet for so long, we're in year 10 right now of being at Barstool Sports. Frankie's there too. Trent's been there longer. I feel like I usually get it, and a lot of stuff rubs off of me. I will just never, ever comprehend that mindset that you're describing right now, that you're hearing from people. I get that there's going to be a certain small faction of people that have that, but I honestly thought going in, almost every person in the field except you was set up to be completely forgettable. And the reason that I say that is, like, if you're a pretty solid golfer around scratch or whatever, and you go out there and you shoot even or 1 or 2 or 3 over, what does that do for you? Even if you're Grant Horvat, I get he's a great player. I think winning comes with some legitimate like credibility. Like, oh, you won under that. You could do it under pressure. It's good for your sponsors, right? TaylorMade and whatnot, being like, oh, we hooked this guy up. He plays great. I get that. Fat Perez had a great moment with the putt. He does the Euro step. Awesome.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't think it's not even that people failed at doing anything. It's like you're not in an environment and a format and all of that to really succeed in terms of being entertaining and memorable, which is what our careers and our jobs are. You were in that position and you fucking delivered. And what I mean against all the other folks is just like, dude, if you go out there and you shoot an okay score, so guess what? You're one of the better performers of people that aren't even close to being able to do this for a living. That's not entertaining. It's not like that much to hang your hat on. On a personal level, it is. You got great pictures you can hang, like Cauley getting into that playoff. That was fucking awesome. Super nice guy. We hung out with him throughout the week. And Gabby Golf Girl, all those pictures and those moments are very cool on a personal level. Good for the brand, for sure, but not going to like pop. You popped, dude. Like you are all over the place, as you should be. It's a regular guy out there doing the best that he can from 7,300 yards is what the course was total. So those 8 holes are the equivalent of that. You were like one of the only people set up to truly win in that environment, in my opinion, and you absolutely did. And I'm happy that a lot of people do see that. Everyone that came up to me and you guys throughout the week after it saw that. We're like, what an absolute performance from your guy. That was great. That was heroic. Frankie hyping up the crowd and everybody chanting your name on 17 when you hit your 5th ball and finally cover the water is so iconic. It's something everybody will remember. I just don't get the other side of it. I don't even know. They just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like they're not even close to getting it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, and I said 50-50. It's definitely more people are understanding it. I just said that for effect. But I guess what it comes from is a lot of it is people being like, well, I could have played better out there. And it's like, that's not the point either. That's not what we're looking for. Like that is where I think a lot of it comes from, is people just being like, why'd they put that guy out there when I could have played better? And it's like, if that is the way that you're viewing this event, then we're not going to be able to lead you to a point where you understand what's going on.
Yeah, they're just not understanding what a creator event is. The good golf was happening the next day. This is a additive new thing that was about regular people that literally have a job making content on YouTube to go play. Why is the expectation for that to be really competitive good golf? That's what I don't understand. Where did we get our wires crossed where the expectation has to be that the people that are making entertaining videos and making people laugh and we're putting out videos and podcasts and things that people enjoy, clearly, right? This is year 7 of the Barstool Classic. You guys are doing this thing for how many fucking years? 9 years of making content in golf, whatever it is. Like, obviously there's a market for what we're doing. When did people get their wires crossed that like that's not what we were supposed to do during the Creator Classic?
Right.
I don't understand. Like, it makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. I don't know. It's like, you guys have to be better. Why? We are not playing for anything in any of our videos, in any of our moments in our life. We have built out a brand that we do not have to play good golf ever. Never has to get better. What do you mean? They're like, you have to get better. This is unwatchable. Like, what are you talking about? This version of golf is what people watch. There's another version of golf that Grant Horvat goes out there and he can beat pros. You only give him a couple of shots. Like, that's that version of golf. But that's what he's expecting you to watch him to do. We've never once said that we should do that, or that we could do that, or that we will do that. We were the first people to play against pros in videos. We had to make 4 of us face the pro. That was our joke. We were on the podcast saying it's going to take 4 of us playing in a scramble to beat Kevin Kisner at Pinehurst number 2. And now all of a sudden it's like, everyone does it, all a million versions of that. But that's like who we are. 4 individual human beings to beat one guy. Like, are you guys shocked that we played bad golf in the Creator Classic? That's what it is. That's what the video is.
Yeah. And I get like Rory's comments about it. I'm kind of with Trent, where I kind of loved it because I don't think that this is appealing or relatable to Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy has grown up his whole life being like competitive golf, being the best, watching golf at the highest level, trying to deliver golf at the highest level when the biggest tournaments is what golf is to him. He is not going to be entertained by watching an average Joe go out there and slap it around and slip and fall and try to get it over the green in 5 tries. He's not going to understand that. Guess who is? If you go look, I think the average handicap on the GIN system is like 14, which is about Trent's handicap. That is literally the definition of relatability. You put somebody out there in that environment, that first tee shot, Trent, I can't believe that you hit that first tee shot as good as you did. That was the most awkward tee of all time. You cut the ball. It's a draw hole. All those guys in the field, Ricky Fowler made an 8 on that hole. It's an awkward, weird little tee shot. On top of that, there were like 5,000 people around the tee. You're the second person to hit the ball in the entire thing. So all the nerves are still there. None of them have been released. And then you got to step up there, and you did great. You cut one into the right rough. It was like almost in the fairway. That is, if you just grab the average couch potato golf person, who again is about your handicap, and put them in that situation, I thought you overperformed in that situation, like dramatically overperformed in that situation, especially on that tee, especially in a lot of the big moments. And so, yeah, I think, again, that even going into it, I thought that you were in a position to succeed in our definition of succeed more than almost anyone else in the entire field. I think the Bryan bros are like, they have a lot to lose in that situation, not a ton to gain. And I think that the format itself doesn't lend itself to a lot of the entertainment opportunities that we have all created with us and the Bob Does and the Good crew and all of them. It's like you come up with these formats to showcase personality and camaraderie and get funny, entertaining moments. And there is a driving storyline of competition. That's kind of what is the thread that brings it all together. But it's all this other stuff on the side that makes it entertaining. And you absolutely brought that. And so I think, like, even if me or Frankie are like we're out there, I don't think we would have had the chance to deliver the moments that you delivered. If we went out there and shot, 7 or 8 over, whatever the hell we would shoot on 8 holes, that's just like, okay, fine. Like, all right, yeah, nice work, boys. We'd have cool pictures. We would have made a little bit out of it, done our best. But I think your golf out there, dude, was like the absolute highlight. I saw many of the people that participated in the Creator Classic or the agents from the Creator Classic, like they posted their carousels on Instagram, and all of them included their footage of like your tee shots on 17. That was like one of the key moments from the whole thing, and the tour leaned into it. Shout out to the tour social, like they were putting you up there, more than anybody. Over the place. So it's like that's just what it is. And so I think, luckily, I think most people in like the silent understanding, majority understand it, but it really does infuriate me. Just on a, it shouldn't, but it infuriates me. I can't help it when people just don't grasp that. It's like Also, the thing that was annoying to me, and we can move on after this, was people telling me how I should feel about the way that the performance went, where they were like, no, you should feel bad about that number, or you should be embarrassed by how many shots it took on 17. When it's like, I want you to know, I don't feel those. That's not how I feel at all. We like you guys are projecting onto me the way that you would have felt in that situation. But for me, and I said at the start of this, like, I had fun. I was out there with my pals. Like, we were in the event. Like, that was it. Like, I had a good time. And no amount of people tweeting me being like, this is how you should feel about how that went is going to change that. I had a really good time. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and we had fun out there. Full stop.
It's also just what happened. Like, people have, like, they have these like weird like ideas as to like why it happened, or like Trent, we go out there, we broke 100, we broke 90, we grinded our asses off. We still love this game. We want to get better. Like, that's part of the relatability of it too, where it's like we went from shooting 144 Trent at Bethpage Black to shooting at 88 at Rain Dance National in Colorado. We documented every single aspect of that. We put out 25 episodes of Breaking Series, of showing every single shot. We showed every single shot of the qualifier, which other YouTube brands do not do. We tell you guys exactly what we shoot every single video. We just tell you what we shoot when we golf. We go out there and we just golf, and we show the ball go in the hole. And Trent went out there and golfed at TPC Sawgrass and shot a 61 in 8 holes. Like, we've showed you the whole journey of Trent playing golf, and then that person that you've seen the journey, you've seen him get better, you've seen him hit better shots, you've seen him get fit. He went out there and shot a 61. That's how hard the place was. That's how long the driving. That's how long the tee boxes were. That's how long the carries were. That's the relatability aspect of it, is we've brought you on this ride for years, and then he went out and played golf, and that's the answer. That's exactly, you were looking for an answer of what Trent would shoot out there, as it was a 61 and 8 holes.
You got it.
Like, there's no fabricating anything, so we can move on, but it's fucking stupid. It's absolutely stupid. You shoot a 40 at the Creator Classic. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, they're about to go watch the fucking golf tomorrow. You're about to go watch JJ Spawn lose to fucking Rory McIlroy. That's the golf. That's what professional golf is. How do people get off on watching, like, a guy shoot a 41? What does that do for anybody? Oh, you just, like, hit a couple balls in the fairway, hit the back of the green 3-putt. It was so boring that Paige Brownick, like, made me take a shot that Dave hated that shot that I took. Hated it. So much so that my wife called me. She's like, Dave's talking about it. He loved it. I'm like, he fucking hated it.
I mean, he compared it to, and this is inside Barstool, old Barstool.
One of the worst videos ever.
Of the Nate Dogg daiquiri video of him taking a shot during the spelling bee, which was, at this point, genuinely might have been 100 years ago.
Not a daiquiri.
But he compared it to that video, and as soon as I saw that side by side, I was like, "We got to put a straight jacket on Frankie Borelli because he is going to lose his mind."
I spiraled. Like, I don't know, Dave. It was a boring broadcast. To Riggs's point, like, everyone was talking. It's like, guys are just hitting golf shots out here. There's nothing, like, we made noise on the first tee. Trent got off the tee because that's fun. And then it's like, there's nothing else going on here. It's, Perez is hitting like little cuts into the fairway, and Grant Horvat's like draining putts because he's a fucking unbelievable golfer. Like, there's nothing that's going on here. It's turning into a collegiate event. Like, I don't know what this is. And she's like, you got to do something. Like, no one usually drinks during TPC Sawgrass at the Players. I'm like, oh, let me take a shot. I was the first person on Golf Channel to rip a shot during the thing. It came off bad, but I didn't know what else to do. You got to make some spice. We needed something. We needed something to hit the airwaves, and it was a 0. It was a 0. And Dave hates it. And I'll never sleep again. But it's one of those things, until I get that next shot, I don't know what I was supposed to do. Do a cartwheel? I don't know what else. They put the camera on me. They're like, hey, do something funny. We need a moment. Okay. I'll bring a deck of cards next time. I'll pull a fucking dove out of my fucking hat. I don't know. What do you want me to do? They put the camera on me.
This is good.
Someone threw me a nip.
You're not sleeping. This is good training for the baby, and that's all this is.
The way Hannah, she's like, oh, and even Dave liked it. I said, he didn't fucking like it. He hated it. He hated it.
It is a great point, man. We're out there trying to you're trying to get moments. You're trying to get juice. You're trying to get something going and, like, justify the fact that you're there. We're in it. We're in this moment. And
sometimes you miss, sometimes
right.
You just miss.
Golf is hard, but getting your protein can be easy because One Bars made protein bars perfected with one Reese's Peanut Butter Lovers and one Hershey's Cookies and Cream, 18 grams of protein, only 3 grams of sugar. We've got the one hole-in-one challenge out here where if you get an ace, you get loaded up with one protein bars for the entire year. I brought a bunch of these with me. I've been on the road since we got to Sawgrass, so it's been about a week. I brought a whole box of the Hershey's Cookie and Cream one protein bar, and you just snack on them, put one in your pocket, put one in your golf bag, snack on them throughout the day. They're so delicious.
Yeah, we're at the Barstool Classic today. I did not have time to grab breakfast this morning, but I saw that we had a few of the Reese's Peanut Butter One Bars, and I took one of those down, and I felt great. I'm ready to cruise until lunchtime. So, yeah, these things are great. Only 3 grams of sugar, a bunch of protein in them. These things are just really good for the golf course. So buy them, put them in your bag, put them in the cooler on the cart. Don't let them melt, and you're set.
You got to have protein. I don't even have a kitchen right now. We're redoing the countertops. This is something I talk about nesting. We're doing nesting. I'm not allowed to have countertops right now because we're having a baby. But so we're not able to really cook our food. And I've got One Bars everywhere right now. Like, we've got them in every kind of section of the house because I'm so hungry. I need snacks. Usually I got things going on countertops. Right now I'm countertopless. So these One Bars have been, I'm not even kidding, life-saving in the house. So whether you're on the golf course, whether you're not, these things are a lifesaver. The hole-in-one hole, like you said, Keegan Bradley, shout out to him with the hole-in-one this week.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America making a hole-in-one, probably had a One Bar right after that as well. So making hole-in-ones, eating hole-in-one bars, that's the Reese's world that we're living in.
Buy new one Reese's Peanut Butter Lovers protein bar on Amazon. Again, the one protein bars are on Amazon. For us, golf is simple. It's a chance to get out, have fun with our friends. All kinds of stuff can get in the way. As you know, you're just trying to have a good time. You're trying to enjoy yourself. Fireball's iconic cinnamon flavor is going to help you do that. They've got the 50 milliliter shooters. They're perfect. They're fantastic. There's no glassware. There's no chaser. There's no extra hoopla or baggage that comes with it. You just rip that top off, crush that nip, and everybody's having a much better time out there.
Just changes the vibes, man. Just changes the vibes. Golf is really hard. We talk a lot about that on today's show, and Fireball just makes it better. Whether you're having a good day out there or a bad day out there, every day with Fireball on the golf course is a great day. Crack it open, knock it back, have fun. That's what golf's all about.
Suck those nips down any chance you get.
Yep.
Birdie, bogey, just suck them down,
bogey.
man. Triple bogey. Always a good time for
An 11 on a
Fireball
par
nip.
3. Drink that Fireball.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Yep. Get the Fireball. It's the iconic cinnamon flavor, 50 milliliter shooters. If you're really feeling like upping the ante on the course this weekend, make sure to grab the Fireball Birdie Shot Club. It is literally a golf club filled with Fireball nips. To put a bow on that, credit to Justin Thomas, who went out and delivered a 16-stroke difference from his Thursday to his Friday
Amazing.
performance. He opened with a 6 over 78. He then closed the first two rounds with a tying the course record with a 62. Could have been a 61. He made a bogey on 18, which is actually a damn good bogey after a poor little punch-out attempt. But he was the storyline on Friday afternoon at the Players' Championship when the Kiz and Smiley were doing the happy hour. And he's obviously boys with two of them, and he goes up there in that moment while he was the head storyline of the entire event, delivers that putt on 17, raises his putter up to the crew. It really is a testament. Anybody who knows golf, who plays a good amount of recreational golf, you completely understand that your average and your potential and your floor are wildly different numbers on any given time. When you show up to the tee, you could shoot a million, you could play really well that day and shoot a damn good score for you. You really just don't know till you get out there. And even at the highest level, that is true. A 16-stroke difference from Thursday to Friday in pretty similar conditions. I mean, the conditions Thursday and Friday were pretty good. I think 11 or 12 under was leading after Friday's round, and that's what won the tournament. So it kind of held up, but that was just absolutely awesome. JT throughout the whole thing. I mean, he's delivered some unreal moments in his, 10, 11, 12 years that he's been out there on tour. He's fired a 59 before. He shot that 63 at the U.S. Open, which Johnny Walker called the Milwaukee Open, I believe. He's got 2 major championships. He came from 7 shots back when he won the most recent PGA Championship. When he won on that playoff, he had that Players Championship victory where he's hitting all kinds of crazy shots out there. So he's had some phenomenal moments, that Justin Thomas. And I know he didn't win the event. He didn't really contend, but that was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, that's that player A, player B type shit right there. I mean, some guys just, player B showed up in the first round and there's nothing he really could do about it. Balls weren't going where they wanted to go and he was frustrated and things were going, obviously the elements really add to a lot of it, whether, the wind isn't making you feel comfortable or the way that just things are kind of surfacing around you. Like, sometimes you just don't feel like yourself. And the swing could be there, but things are just not bouncing your way. And then all of a sudden you wake up the next day and the hole looks like freaking the Grand Canyon. Like anything's going to fall into that. And that's an amazing turnaround, 16 strokes. And JT's got that fight back in him. I think he went, I talked about it a couple episodes ago, but you never know what he was going through. Like his wife was giving birth and you're becoming a new dad and you got Netflix cameras all around you. Like there's just a lot going on. Like life is changing. And like maybe, Rory talked about it, like the struggles of like, the balance. He's probably up at night doing feedings and dealing with his wife and you got this new baby. And you're like, oh my God, like I can't even imagine trying to compete in these golf tournaments. And now all of a sudden he gets back to his routine. And this is just like talking. I don't even know if this is what he was struggling with, but it's just, you could assume that he was just going through some things that his game was kind of falling a little bit. And now he's got this routine maybe, and he's back to being Justin Thomas and he's back to really focusing on his game and look at the results. He's playing great. He's really, he's finding it. And I think he's primed for a big year going into major season. I wouldn't be surprised if JT rattles off a major this year. Would you?
No, not at all.
No, I wouldn't either. He's also, he's a big game, high energy kind of guy. I mean, he pretty much is the spiritual and energetic leader of the U.S. international teams, from the Ryder Cup to the President's Cup. I know he wasn't playing well enough, so he wasn't on the most recent one. But again, he's such a leader on that team that's a huge story that he got onto the Ryder Cup team 2 years ago, that he wasn't on the most recent one. He had those moments of him and Jordan Spieth in the Ryder Cup in Paris when we got dusted. They were like undefeated that week, or were really phenomenal that week. Then at the President's Cup in Melbourne, remember him and Tiger Woods closing out tournaments or matches when he's making putts and dapping up Tiger. Like, he has been the guy, man, for many years.
Yeah, he is a gamer. It's just built in him. He's a big sports fan. Like he loves team sports and Alabama and the whole he's just always had that fire in him. He's like he'd be like in my friend group where it's like you can't like get a win off that guy. Like, he's always trying to beat you in everything. He's one of those guys. He's like a Brock Nelson. That's why when the Islanders traded Brock Nelson, I'm like, you're losing a guy that wins in everything he does. He like can't go to sleep without winning. We saw it at JT's house. He was like playing billiards there. That was Bud Cauley there also, right?
It was, yeah.
Yep. I was going to mention that.
Like, wouldn't go to sleep until we didn't leave until like every game was one of billiards. Like, you're just sitting there being like, we can't beat this guy in pool right now. He's just beating us to death. Whether it be that, ping pong, you could shoot hoops.
So Dan Rappaport dropped a drink right on JT's floor there, remember that?
Yeah, and
I was on.
I don't know if anyone really wanted him in there, and he like showed up.
I was on JT's moment. I was on JT's team when we were playing pool, and I had one shot where I had to hit it off a bumper and for the ball to go in, and I was standing over the shot, and JT got really close to me where only I could hear, and he just said, "Feel it in your hands." And then I made it, and I felt like I was at the Ryder Cup. I legit was like, I am Jordan Spieth. I am celebrating with Justin Thomas. We just won that pool match, and now I'm going crazy. That was really fun.
Speaking of Jordan Spieth, I don't even think we talked about this on the recap of the Creator Classic last episode, but we did meet up with Jordan Spieth for a second, and he said something to you. Turned out to be just didn't really help on 17, obviously. Put 4 balls in the water. But that was our first time talking to Jordan Spieth since 2019, I believe.
Yeah, at Bethpage Black.
Wow.
We were walking.
He said, I love y'all stuff.
Yeah, he said, love y'all stuff 6 years ago. Yeah, we were walking from the range to the 10th tee for the Creator Classic, and I was just in an absolute spin of emotions, just like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the tee. I'm so nervous. What am I going to do? And I almost backed into Jordan Spieth. He was walking off the putting green, and I just said, hey, what's up? Because we hadn't spoken to him in 6 years. And he was like, hey, what's up? Good luck, have fun out there. And then he started walking towards the clubhouse. And
under his breath, Trent, he said, I just shot a 40 out there, so good luck.
He did say that.
And I was like, oh, that's not the best thing to hear.
And then he walked away, and I started walking towards the 10th tee. He was walking towards the clubhouse, and he turned directions and started coming back towards me. And he said, by the way, on 17, club down and swing hard, because the wind was blowing in a way where it would have been helping me. And that's the advice he gave me. And I said, thanks. And then I proceeded to put 4 balls in the water on 17. But it was nice to see Jordan Spieth. It was nice to he's a tall, handsome guy. Like, you forget, oh my,
he is tall.
And he's got an aura like this. We've all got a lot of history with Jordan Spieth. Just if you've been following golf, especially starting with those Masters runs that he had, he was like, he's still got that energy. I know he's had a weird career and he's had some ups and some pretty far downs, but like when you see Jordan Spieth, you're like, man, he's a guy.
Yeah, I think right before you bumped into him, I was walking with they were doing like a walkthrough, and the PGA Tour had a camera on us, and we're kind of walking, and I'm talking about like what Trent's about to feel and all these things, and in mid conversation with the camera, I'm like, and here's Jordan Spieth. Like, I stopped talking about whatever I was talking about because he was right behind the camera person, and you lose your train of thought because he is a superstar. Regardless of wherever his end number will be in terms of majors or tournament wins, the run that he went on and all of the hype around him, and the fact that he did deliver with all the hype that was around him at that moment. Yes, it's been a while, but like Jordan Spieth cemented himself as like a legacy guy. Like, he is a name that you'll always remember. He's always going to be in the mix. Now that he's healthy, we say that he is going to go on a little bit of a run, hopefully. Yeah, he's just one of those guys, you see him and you're like, that's Jordan fucking Spieth right there. You don't say that about many people.
I would say at any given tour event, Jordan Spieth is maybe a top 2 or 3 biggest star there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
that's not a stretch.
right? Like Rory, and then Scotty when he's number one and winning. But on star power, it's like I don't think Xander's a bigger star. I don't think like Colin is a bigger star. Those guys are big names. JT's up there, but I really don't know that you can beat.
Spieth.
In terms of pure star power, dude, it's Jordan Spieth. He was the chosen one, the golden child. He came out at that young age. He's winning Masters. He almost won the Grand Slam that year when he came up just like a shot short on the last two majors and won the first two. Like, he was just the guy. Even like them pairing him up at a young age with Patrick Reed of all people in the Ryder Cups and them like going crazy, kind of, so like he just was the guy. And I agree with you. He still holds that star power, man. He's Jordan fucking Spieth. So for him to stop and turn around as a crew, we've never done a video with him. We've never had him on the podcast.
Nope.
Yet he gave you a little love there.
And it seems like every week he has a couple of clips that go viral. He's hitting left-handed out of the pine straw. He's got that aspect of it too, where he's just very interesting on the golf course. I forget what round it was. Was it I think it was the opening round of the Players. He was all over the place.
Dude, he had 2 eagles on his opening 9. I'm trying to pull it up right now. He starts the tournament on the back 9. He goes birdie, eagle, par, double, bogey, eagle, bogey, birdie for a 200 par 34.
You just never know what you're going to get. And that's like, you don't get that with a lot of golfers. Like we're saying, it's when the PGA Tour's out there or when just good golfers are playing golf, it's like, all right, they're going to hit fairways, they're going to hit greens, they're going to make putts, and they're going to miss putts. Jordan Spieth is like, he could hit it into a beverage tent and you're up there and you're like, holy shit. And he like chips in for eagle and you're like, you just never know what you're going to get with him. So yeah, running into him, listen, open invite on anything that he wants to do. Jordan Spieth would be, I love that guy.
He's talking on every single shot, right? Like he's the exact opposite, basically, of what we kind of complained about with a Cantlay or even a Scotty in terms of like his actual golf, where they're trying to be boring out there. They're trying to conserve all their energy for focusing on golf. And Spieth has never been that way. Like I just read that scorecard. Like people are like fairways, greens, 2-putt, low stress. Don't really like waste your energy on emotions out there. And he's just the exact opposite. He's making eagles, he's making doubles. He's looking at Michael after every swing. He's like, you got me in the water here, Michael. And then the next one, he's like high-fiving him. He's throwing rakes. You're just like, dude. And of course, he's a top 2 or 3 star out there because of that reason. It's like he's must watch. Even if he's going to miss the cut, you're like, I got to watch Jordan Spieth, dude.
A mainstay on the PIP list when he doesn't have like that many top 10s or top 5s. Like he's just that guy, man. I love Jordan Spieth. I really do.
Yeah, I love Jordan Spieth too. On to another guy, Collin Morikawa. He's been in it right now for the last week. He's been in it hard. He finished second at the Bay Hill last week when Russell Henley chipped in on him on the 16th hole, ends up losing by a stroke, something we've seen a million times in this game. Instead of staying and doing media afterwards, he just up and left. He did not do media. He said he signed autographs. He went through the whole thing. Again, we've heard this story and heard everybody weigh in on this a million times in the game of golf. Rory McIlroy famously did it just last summer when he lost to Bryson. He jumped right in his rental car. He hopped straight to his jet and he just left town without doing any media. Some really hot takes. The guys on the live from set were kind of hammering him. Rocco Mediate came in really hot on him. Now Rocco does a serious show, so he's on there quite a bit. He said, biggest bunch of horse shit you could ever say after Collin Morikawa's response to it was, I don't know anybody. Anything is what he said when people confronted him about not doing media for the first time. He would come back and talk about this again, but he goes, Rocco, biggest bunch of horse shit you could ever say, period. I mean, that is the dumbest, most selfish garbage you could ever say. Mr. Palmer would have hunted him down.
Oh, my God. I want to be on record and say, I don't care if guys talk to the media or not. I don't give a shit. It actually says more about a person and how they're feeling if they skip out on doing media. Like if, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. I understand there's like this standard of like, take your lumps. And if you don't play well and you sort of lose it at the end, you got to stand up there and face the music. I don't give a shit. Like walking away and being like, peace, I'm not doing it. Those are all the answers you need. Like all these guys, and listen, we're a part of the media to a degree, but we're not there every single week being like, these guys have to stand up there and we got to be able to ask them questions when something goes wrong. Like I just don't subscribe to that line of thinking really. Like I know people will be like, oh, it's such a coward's way out to not face the media. But again, and I'll say, like I've been saying, like, I think doing that says more than the guy standing up there being like, I lost. I didn't play very well, in my opinion.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I really do. I think that I get more out of that than a lot of the comments that are made. You do get the occasional incredible clip in defeat. You got Phil Mickelson after Winged Foot standing up there and being like, I am such an idiot, and credit to him for doing that. I really do. This gets way overplayed. I'm with you, Trent, for typically after the last putt drops, I turn off my TV and I'm on to something else for the most part. Now, throughout the week, I'll watch live from every night because there's a lot more golf left. I want to hear predictions. I want to hear how this player's playing this part of the game and what that might lead to over the weekend because I can't wait to watch it. But in terms of the aftermath of it, it's over, dude. And guess what? They're going to answer eventually, just like Rory when he lost at the U.S. Open. Like 2 weeks later, whenever he sat down for his next tournament, he went through and talked about how, the way that Pioneers number 2 was set up, I could see everything that was going on behind me. So I was very aware, and that kind of affected me with my putts. You're going to get the answers eventually. Right. So I'm with you. I think it says a lot more. It's not like they're standing there making a very educated decision on whether they should do media or not. They're so fucking pissed and devastated and all that they just leave town and they don't want to do anything. And that couldn't affect me at all. I think where all that vitriol kind of comes from, for the most part, the Rocco one, that was a little stronger than I expected. But from the media is like, dude, they sit around all week and they have to have something to write about at the end of that week to justify all of it, to justify being there, to justify their paper or whatever it's been, putting them up in the hotel for the whole week and the whole deal, that if the player leaves and they don't have some new quotes to kind of like take and put into the headline of the article, it's very detrimental to them. So I think that the traditional kind of like legacy media, I do think they take it way more personally than almost anybody else would. But, we kind of come at it as fans that happen to be part of the media and whatever you want to call that. I'm with what seems like both of you guys. I really wish I would have done it in real time when I saw that Morikawa had doubled down on it, which I loved. He kind of did that. I would like to apologize to absolutely fucking nobody type answer when he was asked about it. He said, like, to the Brandel Chamblees and to the Paul McGinleys and to the Rocco Mediates, I still believe I owe you guys absolutely nothing. Like, I loved that. I wanted to make a quick little, like, almost presser video being like, good for Morikawa. I don't really care either. I wish I would have. I kind of forgot about it in the moment. But my whole point in saying all that is like, I'm with you, man. I just couldn't have cared less in that moment. When he lost at Bay Hill, I turned off my TV and I was like, I'll turn it back on Monday night at Live From, and I'll get hyped up for the Players' Championship. I wasn't sitting there scorned in my living room like, I can't believe Colin Morikawa didn't answer the question, because guess what? I bet he's disappointed. I bet he's going to use it as a learning experience. I bet he was pretty excited and he's trying to take away the positives from the weekend. Like, they're going to say the same shit for the most part. Who cares?
Right. You're just not going to get what you want. You're not going to he's not going to break news to you. He's not going to be like, by the way, my leg's broken. And that's why I fucked that up. Like they're going to have to cut my leg off. I got a really bad injury. Like you're going to get what you just said, Riggs. You're going to be like, yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to do better next week. It's better to storm out and be like, fuck this.
Yeah. I mean, devil's advocate of it. I definitely agree that it shows that he cares more when he just like storms off and he really doesn't want to talk to anyone. That's just the way that the world works. It's the way human nature is. Like you just want to kind of be in your own world and not have to deal with it. But the devil's advocate side of it is like the reason why they are in that position to play a game for a living and have people care about it and write about it, and they're on TV and all these things and playing for millions of dollars, is because of these moments that like these guys are able to write these articles and do these documentaries and document every single aspect of their lives. They've signed up for that, unfortunately, for better or worse. So like I've always kind of had like the John Tortorella effect in like a team sport, when he won't give the media like the time of day after every single game, when you have like season ticket holders and the only reason you're playing this game and you're not like coaching in a backyard. And like the reason why this is a league and why it's like got all this money around it is because of the fans. It's like the only reason that all the players grew up as fans and now they're players, and it's like a never ending cycle. And like all it might take is that one interview with a guy who's like crying in his stall because he just lost a championship, and it gets that kid to get that fire and be like, I want to be that one day where like I care that much about something. Like seeing that just keeps the world going around, and like shutting that off and being like, I owe nobody anything. It's like you do kind of owe like the media your time because
I don't think he should have said that. I
you
kind of
do
agree.
owe the media your time because like they are giving you their time and they're making you famous.
But I do think it has changed where with social media, where like afterwards, Colin posted, I think on Instagram, where he was like, I don't even remember what he said, but like
I agree with that.
You almost
like, there's different forms now.
What's that? That's right. That's what I'm saying. Where it's like that old school being like, no, you have to answer these questions. We're gonna hear from Colin. Like Rick said, whether it's in the next press conference or on Twitter and on Instagram, where he's like, man, I'm fucking devastated, but we just keep moving forward. Like, the whole like dog and pony show of you have to stand in front of the media to take questions, that I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, and I would agree, Frankie. Like, if it was every week and it's like, dude, Morikawa just never speaks to the media.
Yeah,
I would agree with you. And the Tortorella and that's like, but if it happens occasionally, I almost think that when I see on Twitter Morikawa would decline to meet with media afterwards, that's more powerful to me than if I see kind of the quotes. And if you do that all the time, then I agree you're kind of hurting. And you're absolutely right. Like the media amplify everything, which makes it bigger, which makes more access to the fans, which grows the game, which makes you more money, Colin Morikawa, and all that. If he did it every week, I would much more agree with that. But I do think occasionally I don't mind it. But I also think as much as I laughed at like him doubling down and all of that, I thought that came off very like distasteful of I don't know anybody anything. Like I think that kind of came off just like unnecessarily dickish, especially after you've had a couple days to think about it. I know what he was saying. I understand that like in that environment, your job is to really play golf, shoot the lowest scores that you can, not necessarily to like do X, Y, and Z other. I think you could have phrased it way differently and sort of like put water on the whole thing and like kind of mitigated it. And instead, I think he just kind of opened the door to people being like, wait, what? He very easily could have just said like, hey man, I was very like bummed out about the loss, extremely disappointed. I declined to do media. I don't regret that I declined it. I understand that we kind of have this obligation. We love the fans and the media covering our game, and it means a lot. I always try to do media as much as I can, but in that moment, like I don't regret that I just was upset and didn't do it. Instead of, I think the phrasing, I don't know anybody anything, is very much like inviting people to be like, well, fuck you then. I don't owe you to. I'm not going to be a fan of you. That you know what I mean? Like that's.
Do they get do PGA Tour players get fined if they skip media? Because I know that happens in other sports.
I'm sure they have some requirement based off a contract.
Yeah,
I would guess they do too.
I was curious about that.
They also don't disclose fines, I think, right? So we almost
they've
wouldn't
been
even
weird
know.
about that forever.
To his defense, and he said it a couple of times where he's like, well, I'm sure in his mind he means like I don't owe you specifically, Brandel Chambly, anything when like you're trying to write or say something about me. Like you're like I'm trying to fill one of your buckets with like my time when I want to express myself to the media. And he said like I went and signed autographs for like 20 minutes after and not one camera followed me. Like that may have been my time that I wanted to, you know, share with all the fans after my loss. When that just didn't cross, you know, your T's and dot your I's for what you needed to get done. But like, that's just happened to be what I did after that one tournament. So I do get Colin on that part where it's like, at some point he has to have the final say on what he wants to say, right? I mean, it's still his life, regardless of if he's in the position because of all this stuff, he still gets the final say of like what he wants to portray and what he wants his fans to know about him after certain moments, whether it be wins or losses. So he's like, this loss, I want to go just sign autographs and kind of be quiet. And like, hopefully you guys can document that as opposed to it just being like, I skipped out on media. I did go to the fans and I kind of hung my head and I was upset. Maybe show me get in the car and drive away. Like none of that stuff was documented. He did his media in his mind. He's like, I fucking did something. You know, I made a statement. It spoke volumes to some people, right? Like him not saying anything like what Riggs said, kind of gets you to be like, whoa, he really was fucking pissed after that.
Yeah.
But you can go back and forth a million times. There is a line somewhere where you need to have a standard of like, you got to do this regardless. Whatever form of media you want to do, you got to like show the people something. They dedicated 5 hours to watching it. They want to hear from you.
I'd also say through all of this, because we're not like media beat, like not covering the beat week to week, like we're learning about Colin through all of this. Like every action has like, oh, I feel a certain way about that. Like it's, that to me, I'm like, I'm not really missing out on anything because I'm learning a lot about Colin as this all goes along, regardless of if he's saying anything or not.
It's really hard in a personal sport. All the other
Very
sports
difficult.
you can kind of throw. Your team loses the Super Bowl and you can throw anyone out there. You can throw the head coach. You can throw an offensive tackle. You could throw a wide receiver. I'm sure like the quarterback always has to speak if you're like the guy. But, I'm just thinking back to like big Islanders losses. You didn't always hear from Brock Nelson. Like if he was down in the dumps, he could just kind of go home. Someone else was going to speak on their behalf as the team. Like we didn't get it done tonight. There's always like that captain, I guess, right? So every golfer is the captain of their team that has to speak no matter what happens, whether they be good and bad. And that's a tough situation, but that's the cards that they were dealt as being golfers. You're only on, your caddy's not going to take an interview. Your swing coach is not going to take an interview. Everyone wants to hear from you why you didn't get that ball in the hole. It's hard. It's not easy. And yeah, I kind of fall on both sides. I know I do that a lot, but if you kind of hear the way we talk it through, there is two ways to look at it. There's a line to be drawn that you have to do it. And there's also times and places where it's like, it is doing media by saying fuck the media today. That's a moment. Right. That's a headline.
They should do caddy press conferences, by the way.
Oh yeah. That would get nasty.
That would get nasty, but I want it.
Like what caddy's going to blame their guy and call out the certain shots.
Right, the one guy the first caddy who just kind of shrugs and goes, I'm not the one hitting the ball.
Right. JJ Spawn's caddy today just.
Oh, I mean, I think if you would put a mic in front of him, he might have said something he regrets.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. A couple other things I had written down just from the players. Alejandro Tosti is just awesome. I'm wishing that guy more success. He had the hole in one in the practice round. He had told Johnson Wagner that he would jump in the water if he got one, and he did. Then his caddy kind of pushed him in the water. He also did a walk and talk later in the week during one of his rounds, and he was just so giddy to be there. He looked like a fan had qualified for the tournament somehow by doing something on Wednesday, and then here he was in the event. He was so giddy. He had such a good attitude. He wasn't even like playing that great when they did the walk and talk, and I just like fell in love with him. So I hope he plays really well, continues to be prevalent in a bunch of events because he's absolutely awesome. I was obsessed with him throughout the week. I want to shout out the 6th hole with the new tree affecting things so dramatically. I know we talked about it at the very beginning of the show with how how mental golf is, how wind is affecting people. Frankie, you said it with the water on 18, how 2 of the players playing the best this week and their tee shots in the playoff just going way, way right just because water up the left mentally affects you. That little tree hanging, not one person hit it all week. Everybody knew nobody was going to hit it yet. The scoring average and the fairways found average were significantly down ever since they lost the last tree in like 2014 or 15, whenever that was. So clearly just the mental effect of having that overhanging tree and making players hit the ball just a little bit lower and think about it and it being in their head affected the scoring average on that hole dramatically and very noticeably, which I just think is such a cool look inside the brain of a player and how golf affects you mentally. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, it really got me thinking. I don't know how easy it is to just hit it, have like a lower trajectory. I want to go try it the next time I play. Like if I had a 3-wood in my hand, how much different are you actually having to swing the club? Is it just like ball position? Is it tee height? Like, are you actually swinging differently to really, because you still got to put a good swing on it. It's not like you're hitting like an abbreviated follow through like laser beam. These guys were still hitting, launching, drawing 3-woods and 5-woods.
Yeah, Minwoo hit one like 310 2-iron he hit on that hole.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Mitchell was like, he said his 7-wood would go right into the middle of the tree if you hit it. So Matt Fitzpatrick hated the tree.
Hated it.
That?
Did he?
He's a curmudgeon-y guy. He hates a lot of stuff.
He really is. He's like, who decided to put this tree here?
Dumbest tree I've ever seen, he said.
Yeah, dumbest tree I've ever seen.
He is a bit of a curmudgeon. He's a
literally
young
walked up
curmudgeon.
to the tee and goes, this is the dumbest tree I've ever seen.
You don't see many young curmudgeons, but he's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Which I like.
stood on that tee for the Scotty, Rory, Xander group on Friday, and all 3 of them hit 3 different clubs, and it was very, very cool to watch. That like you don't see that very often in the game of golf on a hole. It's like that's kind of what you want instead of just point and shoot and do it over and over again and being a putting contest like you see on a lot of tour setups or a lot of Corn Ferry Tour events. This like had guys thinking Scotty hit this low heely one into like the left bunker. Xander hit one right down the middle. Rory hit it in the left bunker. 2 of the 3 of them made bogey. and it was like historically one of the easier holes on the course this last week, and that day it was one of the harder ones just because they put that damn tree there. So I thought that was very, very cool. And then I wanted to shout out Max Homa. Max Homa very much struggling. He shot like 79 and then 71, and once again was extremely candid afterwards when asked about everything. He said, I know how hard I work. I know how much I care. So it just feels more shitty for myself internally. I know people probably love this, and some people probably hate it for me, but people like to laugh when people aren't doing well. I would laugh at that. But because I don't know what more I could be doing at the moment, and he said, the way I work, I feel like I deserve to be the best player in the world at some point. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how I approach each day, is to be the best at it, and I'm going to in the complete opposite direction. It's hard to care this much about something and just not get anything out of it. It's like you're in a very toxic relationship. I might be the toxic one, but it's still toxic. So Max is clearly going through it right now. Another great friend of the program. Scramble. He was the first pro to beat us in a scramble. We tied in regulation, but he beat us in the playoff. He almost like lost his leg trying to hit a shot because he wanted to win so badly. He's been on the show. He played with myself and Trent, played 9 holes with us out at Whisper Rock last year, just as a fun little casual. So we're very close with Max. I love him. Sucks to see him going through it, but it's also, I go up to the range up at Whisper Rock quite a bit on, weeks where we're not traveling. And it is true, man. Max is there all the time. He's up there with his coach, with his team. He's hitting balls. I see him doing drills where he's clearly doing drills. So the ball flight is not what he's working on. He's trying to ingrain certain patterns, but like the way the ball's coming out, he'll sit there for an hour and just doing little drill shots where like he's topping balls because he's working on stuff so aggressively. And so when he says that stuff, I just know that it's true. I see him up there. He's not talking to anybody. He's not up there socializing. He's up there just grinding all of the time. And to be going the opposite direction, like he kind of said, I can't even imagine how frustrating that must be. So yeah, kind of feeling for Max when it comes to the golf game.
Yeah, he's one of the boys, so it's hard to really get on him too much. But it's always interesting when a guy has this kind of a standstill in their career, a little bit of a downfall. Seemed like he was primed to be a guy that was going to be in the mix at every single major he played in. Every time he teed it up in a major, you're like, oh, Max Homa's a guy that you got to bet. He's one of those good value picks. Mm-hmm. Was always ready to get one, kind of knocking on the door at the Masters and all these events, right? Like you're like, this guy's going to do it. And really just haven't seen anything from him in over a year at this point. Just missing a ton of cuts. Never really making anything happen. It's obviously a shame. Such a good dude, and he is so present on social media that always brings just a little extra wave of the people that want to get on you, right? Similar to Trent, where it's like, why aren't you better? We want you to be even times a billion, because he's the kind of guy that he's in the kind of world that you have to be good to have fans. He doesn't have the benefit of us being able to be like, oh, we're supposed to be bad.
Right.
Dude,
that's true. Yeah.
From February 2021 through January 2023, he won 5 times on the PGA Tour. He won the Genesis, the Fortinet, the Wells Fargo, the Fortinet again, and the Farmers Insurance Open. He also won the Wells Fargo in 2019. So 5 wins in 2 years. He's got 6 wins total, and all that came relatively recently over the last 6 years. He became an international, U.S. team star. It's such a shame this is happening in a Ryder Cup year, because I really thought he was going to be the guy. He had that President's Cup performance, even though the U.S. got killed 2 years ago in the Ryder Cup. He was the guy when he made that huge putt against the curmudgeon Matty Fitzpatrick in his singles match to kind of keep the Ryder Cup alive. He was kind of the guy. So yeah, for him to be struggling absolutely sucks, but I did want to kind of highlight those quotes just because Max is the best, and I love how candid he is and authentic he is throughout the whole thing. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Maybe getting ready for a nice summer bod? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating, easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. So you can fuel right, and it feels great, and you will feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle like ours. We're on the road nonstop. We're out playing golf a lot. We're just go, go, go. You don't have a ton of time to be at home meal prepping. It's tough if you're trying to meal prep. You don't really know everything. You might end up cooking a bunch of crap. Might not be very good. You can lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals based on a randomized controlled clinical trial. With Factor keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. Factor is just huge for us with our lifestyles.
Yeah, it's gonna be big for me right now. About to have a kid. I'm assuming I'm gonna want to stock up on Factor, right? Like you're not gonna have much time to make all these meals from scratch. Have someone do them for you, and you just really just fire it up, and then just get it down the gullet and move on to the next thing. Like the process of making the food should not be a part of my life for quite a bit. So I think I need to really stockpile my Factor meals. Maybe I'll have a conversation with one of the people at Factor saying, listen, I'm going into it right now. I'm going 0 dark 30 for about a month. Just going, I'm going to be in it.
I know what
do I got to do?
You can eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. And you can use code FactorPodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That is 50% off. You get started, factormeals.com/factorpodcast, and then you use the code FactorPodcast, and you are going to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. This is great. You're going to love it. Once again, that is Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
Wow.
Phil Mickelson making some headlines with some, he's being fast and loose on Twitter. He, Joaquin Niemann won on Live over the weekend. I think they were in Singapore, I believe. And somebody tweeted out, like, is Joaquin Niemann, should he be a top 5 player in the world? Phil responded to it and was like, 5? He goes, you mean number 1? And then he had another thing following up where he was like, hot take time. And he goes, I don't think Scotty Scheffler is going to win an event before the Ryder Cup this year. Scotty, of course, won 9 times total last year in 2024, including, the Olympic gold medal, including the Masters tournament, including the Players Championship. He still, I don't think, is finished like outside the top 25. I don't know exactly where he finished this weekend, so maybe he did. But yeah, Phil, a couple hot takes from Phil Mickelson.
Quote tweeted a foreplay tweet, which we actually didn't get into, the JJ Spawn sprinkler drop situation. And we put it up on our Twitter, and Phil was like, this is the benefit of knowing the rules. Like, if you know the rules, you can take a shitty shot that was buried in the rough, and you can end up with a nice clean lie on the fairway. Yeah, no, Phil is definitely letting it fly on Twitter. He's always been one of the most interesting guys in golf, and there was a stretch there where he was very into the social media thing. That was before Live. And then after Live, it's been less and less. And now, I don't know, yesterday on Sunday, he just decided that he was going to have a couple of hot takes. And listen, the more Phil is involved in golf Twitter and the golf world, I'm for it, because he's an interesting guy. He moves the needle, and we're going to see him at the majors. And if he's contending at those, like, that'll be incredibly interesting. So just an interesting couple of days for Phil Mickelson on the Twitter machine.
Someone grounded up a couple extra beans in his espresso that morning. He was just just a little extra kick.
You never know when he's going to pop up.
He had his long sleeve golf shirt on, and he was just ready to rock. Phil, yeah, I mean, I don't agree with him. I don't think that Niemann's number 1, and I think Scotty's probably going to win an event before the Ryder Cup. He's so good, and Scotty's going through it a little bit, but still, like, Scotty going through it's like being 4 strokes off the winner. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's still finishing top 20s, no problem. Like, he's going to be just fine. The JJ Spawn thing, yeah, we didn't get into that. It was a little bit of a situation, right? Like, dropping, you're on a sprinkler head, and then he forcefully dropped his drop on another sprinkler head so that he could get relief from that. And I do get what Phil's saying. Like, the rules are there for you to be able to be like, this is what I'm allowed to do. It's in writing. We need a control of rules, and whatever goes around that, whatever that circle around that rule is, we're allowed to do, whether it be for the good or the bad. All right. They're there to help you, really, especially something like that. A relief rule is to help you get relief. So if you're going to exploit it, quote unquote, I really didn't hate, I don't think JJ Spawn did anything out of bounds on that. I felt like that was well within what he was allowed to do. And, if the rules call for it, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? I mean, there's so many situations that aren't on TV that are probably happening like that he just kind of got shafted, that was like highlighted.
It's funny. It generally, I would say, really helps you to know the rules. And the reason I say that is like I think a lot of amateur golf people get in situations where it's like I don't. Which why
I have an example of this.
Okay.
Did you guys see this Zyre video? It was on Zyre Golf on the Instagram where I think it was Zyre, but it was a USGA video, and I still don't know if this is AI because the rule, if this is true, it's an insane rule. All right. So they had a ball, you're a right-handed golfer, and there's a tree trunk. And the ball is on the tree trunk on the right side of this tree trunk. Now, even further right of that is a walkway, a path. Okay. So this rule is basically saying that if you approach this ball and you're a right-handed golfer and you decide to hit it left-handed, so you're like, the only way I can really make contact with this is to take my club upside down and knock it out left-handed. Now, if your stance hitting left-handed is standing on the cart path, you can now move that ball to the other side, right? No closer to the hole, but further away from the cart path, to the other side of the trunk where now you drop the ball and you can now take a perfectly clean right-handed swing. So because you decided to hit this trick shot and like get a piece on the ball and not take an unplayable, because a lot of people would be like, oh, I'm not hitting it lefty, I'm just going to take an unplayable. Because you decide to unlock, hey, I want to hit this lefty, now my ball is in a spot where my feet are on the concrete, I can now move it to a perfectly flat spot and hit a right-handed shot, knock a ball onto the green with a punch shot, and then we move on. I've never known that rule. And then where is the line with that? Can you start being like, oh, I want to do this left-handed because I'm next to a bush, but now I'm standing on a sprinkler head. Can I move it all the way back? You know what I mean? Like, do you guys look around that often to see if I'm going to switch around my shot? Am I going to be standing on something that I can move my ball?
I didn't know. It's a great book because I saw the same one, and I didn't really know that either. I didn't know the aspect of it that you could take relief and then just take a normal shot from there. I thought you would have to, like, I don't know, take relief, but then still try to play the shot that you were going to try to play. I think the one part of it that is, which golf's always about like intent and integrity and all that stuff, which is important. You have to have that, but I do think, right, you can't just pick the shot that will get you relief. I think you have to be honest with yourself and the rules person and be like, this is the absolutely 100% the shot I would try to play in this situation. And then if that's the shot that gets you relief, then you can take relief and end up in a great spot. But that's a great example because I do think a lot of people with the rules are like, oh, this guy nags about the rules, meaning that like he's trying to screw me. And the reason I kind of said that is I think if you do know the rules, they usually help you a lot more than they hurt you a lot of the time.
So you'd be an asshole if you're like behind a bush as a left-handed golfer and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I think I would play this. And I'm, you know, I have a really bad lie. I'm behind a bush. I have no way path to the fairway. But now I noticed that on the other side of the ball, there is 3 sprinkler heads. If I was like, I was going to hit this righty actually. So now I get 1 club length back. And then once you drop it, you're clear of the bush. Like that's technically within the rules, I think. But to Riggs's point, if you're not honest about that being the shot that you were going to hit, then you're the asshole. And I think it probably goes against it.
Yeah.
But God, like that's a kind of a hairy rule. There's a lot for interpretation there.
You'd need like a little Minority Report action there to be able to tell if somebody was, you know what I'm saying? Because
what's this guy actually thinking?
You could just start doing that. The other one that I've seen come up more recently that I actually didn't know until relatively recently was like if a ball's on the cart path or like near the cart path, for example, and, you know, let's say the right side of the cart path, like your ball's on the left half of the cart path, so you get relief, of course. And let's say the left side of the cart path is like desert and like a rock and like not a good spot, and the right side is grass, you don't get to just pick whichever side of the cart path you want to drop. It's nearest point of relief wherever your ball is. So even if the left side of the cart path is like horrible stuff and you want to take relief, you have to find the nearest point of relief and then take a club length. So you would have to drop on the shittier side. You don't get to just pick which side, which I was never that clear about. I always thought like, oh, you get to go not always thought. I always wasn't sure, but I was like, I think maybe there's a chance you get to like go to either side of the cart path and pick the point of relief and then take a club length from there. But that's why you see a lot of guys sometimes on tour, they're hitting off of the cart path because their nearest point of relief would be like shittier or it'd be really thick rough. And so they are like, no, I have a better spot here on the cart path than I would if I took my relief. So it's like interesting stuff like that I know the rules are very annoying, and if you're like Dave Portnoy listening to this, you'd be like, "You guys are the biggest fucking losers. What a shitty game."
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is.
I will say
that's the game.
Playing in the Creator Classic, each group had an official rules guy with you, and that was great. Not having a rule, not having to worry about doing the wrong thing. And the guy was super nice. I wish I could remember his name because he was
this ball is now in play.
Right. He was an awesome guy, and he was like, when we did have to take drops, he was like, put a tee in the ground. Let's make this official. Like, do the right way. Club length here and there. So. No, the rules can definitely get hairy, and it's way nicer having somebody out there who knows what the fuck they're talking about. So
there's another rule, Rule 6.2, when a ball playing a ball as it lies in the teeing area. If you swing and you top the ball, right, you swing and miss.
Yep.
And the ball just kind of dribbles off the tee. If it stays within the teeing area, there's like an imaginary box. I think it's like a foot in front and maybe like 3 or 4 feet behind. I don't know exactly what the real. There is a box though, like an imaginary box. If it stays within there, you can re-tee.
We love a box. Yeah.
And you're hitting 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw that too. I did not know that at all.
How many people have like topped a ball or swung and miss and then just like went to their bag, got a 3-wood and hit it off the ground, not knowing that you could tee that ball up and you're hitting 2.
Incredible.
Yep.
I was blown away
how
by
often
that
that's
too.
happening, but
yeah, it was like the guy topped it to the point where it like back spun and was like right by his feet. And they were like, "Oh yeah, it's still within the teeing ground, so you're able to just put it back on the tee if you want, and just you're hitting your second." I didn't know that either. That's amazing.
And the sprinkler head one is important because you will be looked at as an asshole. But like if you're in thick rough and you're just a foot into the rough, and you're standing on a sprinkler head in the fairway, you're a right-handed golfer. There's a sprinkler head right there on the edge of the fairway, right before the thick rough. You are allowed to bring that ball into the fairway. It's not a scramble rule where it's like. You have to keep it in the same native grass. The rule is you can bring it to the fairway. So if that happens, people listening to this, they're playing matches against their buddies. Like sprinkler heads are everywhere. If you are standing on one, you do get relief from that. So like you can use that to your advantage. Bring that ball into the fairway. Like it's a crazy move. And I saw a couple comments being like, golf's really fucking hard. And if the rules help us once in a while and have a blue moon, let's just take advantage of that. Because like the game's always trying to fuck you. And if you end up stepping on that sprinkler head, that's like good luck. Like, all right, we just got good luck, just like a good bounce. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. Yeah, my ball was buried in this thick rough. It's no longer because I was stepping on a fucking sprinkler head. That's good luck.
It was Bob McIntyre last year in the Scottish Open. Remember that when he was in the fescue and had a horrific lie and then he was on a sprinkler head?
The only thing that I saw, and I don't even know if I agree with it, is where people were talking karmically. In the golf world, where it's like
talking what
karmically, like what's the karma of taking a ball that was clearly in the rough and being like, I know you're following the rules and you drop it on another sprinkler head and then you get to put it in the fairway. People are like, golf gods might be like, hey, that putt on 18, it might not go in the hole for birdie, and then you got to go do a 3-hole playoff against Rory McIlroy the next day.
I just think that there's moments that you don't like have a HD like vision on that, like when you hit the ball, how many bad bounces it took to get into that like you really can't compare, right? Like how'd that ball even get into that rough? Maybe it hit a freaking pebble and shot just an extra yard further. Like there's so many moments. So it's like you got to take it for what it is. Like I am stepping on a sprinkler head. The rule does say I can move it a foot. This is just getting a good bounce. This is a lip in. This is hitting a rock in the water and it's shooting onto the green. This is a good bounce. Like let's all forget where this ball ended up. We got to remember that this is just this is luck now. Luck is on my side for this one swing.
I'm largely on that side of it too because luck is almost never on your side in golf. You always
JJ Spawn got multiple sprinkler heads next to his golf ball during the players. He's going to take advantage of that any way he can.
It is funny. Yeah. Like if you like JJ Spawn, absolutely within the rules, nothing wrong during the players championship. If you try to do that with your buddies, they would like not talk to you for a week.
Big Rob would be like, you're an asshole. He'd be like, you're such a golf hardo. Exactly. I'd be like, this is just a rule.
It's like, all right, I'm going to pick this ball. Oh, no, another sprinkler. And then people start like, the fists come out and they're like, what's going on over there?
If that happened to me at the Rip and Sip at Big Cedar with all my buddies, my buddy Tom would have punched me in the face. I'm 18. If I'm dropping balls like this, like I'm just like, oh, I found another sprinkler head.
Exactly.
Hey, can you grab my 3-wood? You know what I
True.
mean? Hitting a 60-degree out of a fucking thick rough or hitting a 3-wood onto the green. God.
The players,
Damn.
I guess, it's a different animal, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I gotta go pee-pee here, man.
All right, boys. What a week. I love the Players' Championship. Shout out to the tour. We give them a lot of shit we have over the years, but this is a week that they have just nailed. It's their flagship week. The entire world of golf descends upon their headquarters, their hometown in Ponte Vedra Beach, their home golf course at TPC Sawgrass. It's got, it's a bold move to create this golf course by Pete Dye that's got an island green and water all over the place, and it just has absolutely been such a success. I don't know that there's a more fun week in general outside of the Masters tournament to just watch golf. I really think that. I really believe that. All the holes on the golf course at this point, and it brings such a great leaderboard. Rory McIlroy, maybe the biggest star in the game, gets the win in a playoff. There were a lot of great storylines, and it was just really, really fun to watch all week long. So big credit to the tour, big credit to the Players' Championship, to Sawgrass, to the whole operation that it takes to put that thing on. I just thought it was an awesome week. I really did.
Fantastic stuff all around, from Trent to Rory to JJ Spawn, the whole deal. It was very entertaining. Just good to sit there and watch meaningful golf, and just a nice weekend sitting there watching, like you said, iconic holes and iconic shots and knowing where the balls bounce. That's a huge aspect of it. That's why the Masters is great. That's why the Players is great. They play it every single year. Same golf course. We know on 16, that left landing area by the green. We know what the green does on 17 if they hit it too far. We know 18, that tee shot. We know everything about it. So that's what makes it amazing. It's a great sport, great fun. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got, boys.
Great
It's
week.
very rare that I choose, not to be outside playing golf on the weekends, and instead to just sit inside if it's nice out and watch golf. And the entire weekend, that was my choice. I even really consider going out there. I didn't want to just follow along on my phone. I just sat in front of the TV, glued in. I wanted volume on, and you're locked in the whole time. So a huge testament to them. Awesome week. Big thanks to everybody who bought merchandise, everybody we saw at the tournament, tons and tons of people, all kinds of Beef chants. Beef just did the national anthem here. He might be breathing down Frankie's neck on the national anthem front. He did a great job. So we got to get back out there here in Atlanta. TBC Sugarloaf, great time. We'll talk about it, on Thursday's show and a lot more. But great week. Awesome. Congrats to Rory. And we'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.